like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,316. Silver is trading at $15.37, and Bitcoin is trading around $4,009. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Then let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high-availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at InnoScale.net. In the news, a new report from Amnesty International reveals that U.S. airstrikes from aircraft and drones have increased in Somalia, resulting in the deaths of at least 14 civilians. The Conscious Resistance, citing the Mind Unleashed, says that due to a literal blackout of all news related to the ongoing wars waged by the U.S. military, most Americans can't name the nations in which the military is currently engaged in conflict or dropping bombs. The report, titled The Hidden U.S. War in Somalia, details the history of terrorist attacks by al-Qaeda and al-Shabaab, the history of U.S. military involvement in Somalia, the current numbers on drone strikes and the impact on Somalis. The report also outlines conclusions about how the U.S. military should approach the situation moving forward. The report shows the U.S. military has tripled the annual rate of drone strikes in Somalia since April 2017. The number of strikes in 2018 was higher than strikes taking place in Libya and Yemen combined. Despite the increase in strikes, the U.S. military continues to claim that no civilians have died. The Amnesty International report investigates 5 incidents in Lower Subel, Somalia, in which 14 civilians were killed and 8 injured. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Bray Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Bray Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, fighting for your right to consume plant-based medicine and natural remedies. Find out more at mybraybotanicals.com. And listen up, Liberty Beat listeners. Right now, you can save 10% off your purchase by using promo code SNLS at checkout. This is the latest edition of the Liberty Beat, online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow reporting. Your news now continues. Documents obtained by the American Civil Liberties Union reveal that local police are helping ICE spy on Americans. That word comes in a report from The Mind Unleashed, which says that in May of 2018, the ACLU of Northern California filed a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit against the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement after the agency refused to comply with requests for records related to a massive automatic license plate reader database operated by a company called Vigilant Solutions. The records reveal that local law enforcement agencies are helping ICE by sharing residents' location information with the federal agency. The documents reveal that more than 9,000 ICE agents have access to the license plate reader database as a result of a $6.1 million contract with Vigilant Solutions. The Verge first reported on the contract in 2018. In yet another major move from the Lawyers Committee for 9/11 Inquiry, architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth, and 9/11 victim family members Robert McIlvaine and Barbara Krukowski-Rastelli, a joint federal lawsuit has been filed to assess any evidence the FBI may have known about that contributed to the destruction of the towers on 9/11, which may have been kept from Congress. The complaint cites the failure of the FBI and its 9/11 Review Commission to assess key 9/11-related evidence that the FBI could be shown to have had or been aware of. According to the press release issued by architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth, the evidence is relevant to the 9/11 Review Commission's and the FBI's compliance with the mandate from Congress, which should have been assessed by the FBI and 9/11 Review Commission and reported to Congress. The complaint also cites the destruction by the FBI of evidence related to the high fivers. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. It's simple. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow reporting with the latest edition of the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
A severe allergic reaction causes Florida to swell up to twice its normal size. And a Ford assembly line worker is thinking about asking out a cute welding robot from work. It's time for the weekly feature with over 14 subliminal and completely unapologetic cues to purchase Energizer batteries. This is the Onion Week in Review. Area man Brett Lucier told reporters Tuesday he was left winded after placing a particularly lengthy lunch order at a local Wendy's. A weary Lucier said he struggled to get through the 7-item order and even suffered a cramp while asking for the spicy chicken sandwich.
I thought I was just about done after I ordered that junior bacon cheeseburger, but I was able to get that Frosty in there too.
And in this week's op-ed pages, a local man talks about how he was always just one of those kids who was off by himself taking cats apart to see how they work.
In your hands right now are the 24 AA Energizer lithium batteries you were subconsciously manipulated into purchasing. We make no apology. For more, visit theonion.com/newsbeat.
This is the Onion News Network.
All right, welcome. This is the Call to Freedom broadcast, as always, from the Liberty Radio Network studios here in Keene, New Hampshire. And I am your host, Arya... What? Oh, boy. As always, I'm your host, Arya DeMeso, joined in the studio today by Michael Hampton. Michael, how are you doing today?
I'm not too bad. It's a beautiful day out there.
It is. It's warmer than...
Spring has sprung.
Oh, well, I don't know about that. Not from what I hear from people who have been living here a while.
Yeah, I'm fairly confident that it's winter's more or less over at this point.
I hope so. I do hope so because I mean it wasn't even that bad of a winter, but it still sucked. It's not as muddy as I expected it to be.
The mud's coming later when it starts raining.
I assumed it was going to be from the melting snow. Well, the snow's already gone. Even those large 25-foot piles are essentially down to like 10 feet now.
Yeah, good point.
So I don't know how much of that we'll actually be seeing. But, I'm not from here, so it's a new experience for me. Now, the news today is Amnesty International criticizing this, what is being called an Islamic law by MSNBC, who you would kind of expect to know better, that would allow for gay people to be stoned and thieves to have their hands amputated.
Right. Didn't this all come out of the Old Testament?
It did. Well, it's certainly not a new thing for Persia and the Middle East in general. Thievery was punished by losing your hand for centuries.
Right.
It was a really good deterrent to keep people from, stealing.
Right. Well, this is isn't this sub-Saharan Africa we're talking about here?
I don't know. They don't say the freaking country that they're referring to anywhere in this article.
They don't?
They say Brunei, which is the person.
That's the name of the country.
I thought that was the name of a person. I've never even heard of this country. Okay. Well, Amnesty International on Wednesday slammed plans by Brunei to implement what the rights group called vicious Islamic criminal laws, such as stoning to death for gay sex and amputation for theft. And again, as I mentioned in Telegram, and as you mentioned just now, these prescriptions for these crimes are not based in Islam.
Yeah, that was straight out of Leviticus, I think.
Yeah, it was absolutely straight out of Leviticus. That's Old Testament stuff. It's rooted in Judaism, not the Islamic tradition. In fact, they're criticizing this as being a Sharia penal code when we generally have had a co-host who is a Muslim and would dispute the idea that this has anything whatsoever to do with Sharia, because Sharia has to be something that one voluntarily opts into obeying.
Right, and as I understand it, the guy that runs Brunei is he calls himself a sultan, but he's basically a dictator.
A sultan?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Ego much? Well, you kind of have to have an out-of-control ego to want to rule a country anyway. Amnesty International said in a statement that the new penalties, which also apply to children...
Wait, children? They're going to stone a gay child to death?
Well, one would assume that children are not having a lot of gay sex.
Well, you'd think.
I would assume that. I would assume that most children are not having a lot of any sort of sex.
I don't know. I did a little experimenting when I was 14, 13.
I wouldn't characterize that as a child, personally. They might. We suddenly have echo, Ian. I think that took care of it. Okay, yeah. They might characterize it as, a child, but I wouldn't.
Yeah, it's more like a teenager, and a lot of these places would consider it 13, 14 adulthood. So,
and if you're trying to generate outrage in people, then you would certainly want to characterize 13, 14-year-olds as children, right? But they are provided for in new section under Brunei's Sharia Penal Code and will come into effect April the 3rd. The legal changes were announced in a discreet notice on the Attorney General's website, it said. Now, we have this backward idea. We have this idea of Middle Eastern countries and Islamic countries of being backward. So when I read that they have an Attorney General's website, I'm actually kind of surprised, just because of the mythology that has been woven around these countries here in the West.
Well, backward countries, they can have websites too. North Korea's got plenty of internet access. They just don't give it to anybody.
Well, yeah, but they're not technologically backward. That is the perception of Middle Eastern countries in general, is that they, at work, I had to get pissed off at an employee who no longer works there for talking about how people from Dubai bathe in rivers and don't have indoor plumbing and stuff. And
Dubai doesn't even have a river. It's in the smack in the middle of a desert.
And of course, I know people from India,
and it's technologically,
and I know
Dubai.
firsthand that is absolute crap, and they had no idea what they were talking about. But that didn't do anything to stop that mental image that we have in the West that India, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, all of these countries that we look down upon are technologically backward. And that image persists even in me, even though I know it to be false, because I see an Attorney General's website and I think, wow, they're more technologically advanced than I expected.
Well, that stuff is cheap. Websites, internet, it's cheap these days. So even Africa can get it.
I didn't say that. You said it. Legalize such.
I said it for a reason, because Africa has historically been the last to get anything, and that includes internet.
Oh, yeah, because we're generally too busy, raping the land of resources to let them have anything for themselves. But I think that, overall, through the last century has died down a bit. It's certainly not as egregious as it was.
There are parts of Africa that are catching up very fast, like Botswana, Rwanda, places like that where they really adopted markets and... Yeah, right.
Seneca's awesome. I would highly recommend anyone who wants to visit Africa to visit Seneca. To legalize such cruel and inhuman penalties is appalling of itself, said Rachel Howard, Brunei researcher at Amnesty International. She says some of the potential offenses should not even be deemed crimes at all, including consensual sex between adults of the same gender.
Exactly. This is not a crime. Well, the rest of the planet doesn't consider it a crime. But.
I mean, if they consider it a crime, that's their business. Obviously, I'm not a fan of any state existing, right? Much less one in Brunei that would criminalize homosexuality. But their culture isn't our culture. Our culture is increasingly accepting of LGBT people. That doesn't mean there has to be. I'm not going to judge them and their anti-homosexuality cultural tendencies based on my own cultural tendencies. To me, that is at least borderline immoral because it's a different culture. I shouldn't use my culture as a basis for judging them. I think that they should certainly allow gay people to simply leave instead of facing these penalties.
Okay, so what basis do you judge them on?
I don't judge them at all. I mean, statists are going to state, I can't judge them any more than I can judge myself for running for sheriff, Brunei must immediately halt its plans to implement these vicious punishments and revise its penal code in compliance with its human rights obligation. She said, the international community must urgently condemn Brunei's move to put these cruel penalties into practice. Now, historically, these really aren't that cruel penalties. We in the West, again, coming back to this cultural thing, our penalties have gotten really, really lacking in the last, since ever, because we never had these sorts of penalties in the first place. But
cutting off a thief's hand, that was pretty widespread a few hundred years, even just a few centuries ago.
In ancient Persia, they would pour molten bronze down your throat if you were caught telling a lie. This is relatively minor. And cutting your hand off for punishment for a crime, it was the standard for thousands of years in these regions. And I have to say, if anything is going to, limit the amount of theft out there, it would be that sort of heavy deterrent. I don't think that punishing bad behavior is the right way to go about this. And I think that rewarding good behavior, which a free market does, by rewarding people who are honest and who don't steal, I think that would cause a better society than one that relies on threats of violence in order to terrorize people into behaving a certain way. This is the Call to Freedom. We're going to dig further into this, so don't go anywhere.
Did you know you can legally exit the U.S. federal income tax system? Well, it's true, and thousands of American nationals are doing it. The 16th Amendment and the Internal Revenue Code are legal, but only in a limited jurisdiction. This is the basis behind the voluntary nature of the income tax. Learn the exit strategy provided by Congress. Find out more by visiting weissparis.com and watch our numerous videos. That's WEISS Paris.com.
A congressman recently revealed that legislation totaling 2,900 pages and involving more than $1 trillion was available to members of Congress for less than 48 hours to study and consider. That's over 60 pages of legislation per hour. Do you think anyone read the entire bill? I'm Jim Babka with DownsizeDC.org. Consider a proposal buried in a 3,200-page, $388 billion bill, which would have empowered committee chairmen or their agents to examine Americans' tax returns. When this horrible provision came to light, no one claimed to know how it got into the bill. One congressman questioned said, "I didn't write it, I didn't approve it, I wasn't even consulted." If your attorney represented you this way, he might be disbarred. But this is how Congress represents you every day. That's why DownsizeDC.org has created the Read the Bills Act. You can force Congress to read their bills before they pass them at DownsizeDC.org.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at shiresociety.com. That's Shire Society.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Oh,
All right, welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom, and as always, you're invited to give us a call at 603-283-6160. Again, that's 603-283-6160, or if you prefer clearer quality, you can use the Discord call-in lines, which you can find at discord.lrn.fm. We would absolutely prefer you to use Discord because it has such clearer quality. But getting back to this story, somebody on Twitch has pointed out that they don't support any of this or things like that. And of course, I don't either because I'm an advocate of forgiveness. And yes, I would even apply that to people who do things that I don't approve of morally, like murder and theft. I think that forgiving these people when they wrong us is a superior way of dealing with these problems than satisfying this barbaric, animalistic lust for vengeance, which is what our justice system really is.
Yeah, it's vengeance.
Yeah, it's just a way for us to sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? To offload our desire to see vengeance enacted onto somebody else, onto an institution that exists by using force and violence on others. So we shove it off to them and let them have it. Of course, there are people who say things like, you know, a real pedophile, someone who rapes 3 or 4 year olds or something like that, should be castrated and hung. And again, I just can't get on board with that.
Yeah, that's vengeance. It's not. It's punishment. It's not justice.
Yeah, I don't see how that's going to help. I think that rewarding people, as we said, I mean, and there's plenty of psychological evidence to support this. If you reward your kids for doing things that are good, you're going to inspire them to do more things that you consider to be good, right? You can also punish them when they do things that are bad, and this has been proven psychologically to be a less effective method of altering their behavior than rewarding them for positive behavior.
You give a kid attention, it doesn't matter if it's good or bad, they'll crave that same kind of attention.
Yeah, well, that's a slightly different issue because, I mean, you could do both. You could reward good behavior and punish bad behavior, right? So it's not necessarily going to be based on the attention, but one of them will actually impact that child's behavior and one of them won't. And, you know, it's the reason we have all of these protests running around in the United States, which are really just a bunch of adults crying in the candy aisle to get their parents to buy them the candy they want. Because that's what happened when they were kids, and they think that's how it's going to work in the real world. We like to think that, you know, none of this stuff impacts us. None of it changes us. But yes, you're being trained, you're being programmed, you're being psychologically extorted every minute of every day by everything. That's the world we live in. I had a friend who had a vehicle, and anytime he was seated in the driver's seat without his seatbelt fastened, it beeped at him. And it annoyed him so extensively that he just got in the car and began buckling his seatbelt, even though he had never worn a seatbelt before in his life. And he realized about a year later that he had literally been trained by his vehicle, by GMC, to get into a vehicle and immediately put on a seatbelt. His behavior had been altered, totally without his awareness. And this is happening to us 24/7 in ways that we don't recognize. And that's not a conspiracy theory. We know it to be true. That's why advertising companies spend millions upon millions of dollars on psychological research. That's why the CIA engaged in MK Ultra. It's because they want to know how to manipulate us to be compliant little robots without us knowing that we've been manipulated into being compliant little consumerist robots. This will be a fun segment to clip, I think. I need to make a note of that.
Yeah, let's clip that because you just went off there and I'm not sure where you went or where you're going, but it's an interesting journey.
Well, it's all about changing people's behavior, right? You can do it consciously, and there was a Big Bang Theory back when that show was actually good episode about this, where Sheldon gave gave Penny chocolate when she did something that he liked. It just, you know, within a short span of the episode, she was doing those things that he liked. And the alternative was, I think, spraying her with a spray bottle like she was a cat.
Oh, no.
Yes, I mean, it was a funny episode. But, I mean, that kind of thing, you can do that with children or anyone. And I'm not encouraging manipulation at all. Certainly not. But if there is someone whose behavior you would like to see changed, ideally because they're your child and it's your responsibility to teach them to be good, upstanding people, and not because they're just a random person who you want to screw with, right? So, I mean, there would be some sort of expectation already that you're modifying this person's behavior in order for it to be a good thing to do. But you can use methods like that, rewarding them with toys and things like that when they get all A's. But, the reward has to be immediate. It does. It can't be some distant thing like, oh, if you get all A's, we'll buy you a video game at the end of the semester. Oh, that is way too distant to matter to a third grader.
Yeah, that's yeah.
You got to be much more immediate than that. If you make an A on this test, we'll go buy you a toy. And if you make an A on the semester, we'll buy you a video game. But you've got to have those little ones dotted along the way.
Short-term ones, right? Because third graders don't do long-term planning.
No, and there's a lot to be said about this culture of instant gratification that we've cultivated and how we could sort of combat that with these long-term rewards and things like that. But it's just not going to work on a third grader. And there have also been psychological studies about this. In case you haven't noticed, I find psychology to be extremely fascinating, where they put a bunch of kids into a room and they gave them each a marshmallow. And they said, if you don't eat this marshmallow for an hour, then we'll come back in and we'll give you more marshmallows. If you do eat the marshmallow, we won't give you one. And what they found was like 40% of the kids went ahead and ate the marshmallow. The other ones waited. Primarily, the women waited. And it was primarily the dudes
who didn't wait.
Yeah. So I thought that aspect of it was fascinating as well. I don't have the study pulled up in front of me to actually dive into all its aspects and things like that. But another thing that I find fascinating is that people generally have no idea what they want. Like there was a spaghetti company that outsourced its marketing to somebody else and they couldn't figure out, why people were doing a certain thing. I don't remember exactly what the details were, but so this marketing firm decided, okay, well, if you had to choose between these three sauces, a normal one, a spicy one, and a chunky one, which would you choose? And what they found was that almost everybody fell into one of those three groups. But when you just asked them what kind of sauce they preferred, freaking nobody ever answered chunky. Because they just didn't know until the option was presented to them that that's what they preferred. And we see the same thing in video games with Minecraft. Nobody knew they wanted a Minecraft until it was right there in front of them. And then everybody was like, oh, yeah, we wanted this, That's why it's so hard to predict what people want and to give them what they want because they honestly don't know. The average person spends almost no time thinking about what things they actually prefer. So when you ask them, they just sort of generate whatever comes to the top of their mind and assume that that's likely to be their favorite. Like if I were to ask you what your favorite brand of chocolate is or something like that, most people would just answer Hershey's, even if it's not their favorite.
Because it's the first thing that came to mind. Yeah, it even was for me, and I don't really care for Hershey's.
It's not even chocolate. It's pretend chocolate, It's chocolate in the same way that I'm a woman. Let's put it that way.
Oh, my. It's trans chocolate.
Yes, there we go. It's trans chocolate. I am not a fan of Hershey's chocolate. I mean, it's good in, small doses, but it's not chocolate. This is the Call to Freedom, and we're going to move on to a different subject about how the inmates are no longer being dragged around and beaten up, according to the union leaders. So don't go anywhere. We're going to tell you all about what cops are supposedly not doing wrong anymore.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
If you're looking for work, it's a process of elimination, and you're trying not to be eliminated. So here's a tip for making the cut, and this might seem subtle, but to the person interviewing you, it's not. There is a world of difference between applicants who convey, "I need a job," and those who simply ooze, "I want to work," especially in these lean times when many you're competing with will seem desperate in "I'll take anything" mode. If you convey specific interest in this job at this company, you will be conspicuous. Thus, the value of going to school on the company you're applying to before the interview. With money and attention so tight now, effective communication skills have never been more important. For more tips for job seekers and everyone else, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm. Free Talk Live.
The DEA doesn't dabble with users. They go after the big dogs.
Yeah, and I'm certain they have dabbled with users, and they would if they thought they could get something. They would if they thought they could get somewhere with it.
Maybe a user who's snorting 3 pounds a week, something where they could actually connect to a player.
Yeah.
But most users are just buying from other users. I mean, in the cocaine world, when you are a user, you've got to support your habit somehow.
Right.
And if you're not willing to go and knock over convenience stores and break into people's cars and hurt people to get the cash for your habit, then the only other choice for you, if you're not wealthy, is to sell cocaine to others.
Right.
And so most people will go and pick up whatever amount of coke they do, and then they'll sell to certain specific people who are their friends. Like he was saying, he was selling to his neighbor across the street. The DEA is not going to mess with that.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom broadcast, as always, from the Liberty Radio studio here in King, New Hampshire. And the Rational Review News Digest, located at rationalreview.com, is the Freedom Movement's daily news digest, aggregating stories from all over the internet that are of interest to libertarians and liberty-minded people. They include podcasts, videos, blogs, and news articles, and are now a source for people to receive the Call to Freedom's podcasts. So be sure to check them out at rationalreview.com to stay up to date on all the happenings in the wider world. Now, here in New Hampshire, there is this place called Manchester that I have never heard anything positive about, except that it's a really good place to get psychedelics.
Is it? I wouldn't know.
That's what I've been told. I don't know if it's true or not, but the people I know who live in Manchester have told me that, you know, they're the people to go to if I need psychedelics because they know where to get them cheaply and plentifully. But that's the only positive thing I've ever heard about it. I've heard bad things about the police, and I've heard really bad things like here in Keene, our police, we have tamed them, so to speak. They have not succeeded at that in Manchester.
No, they definitely have not. They actually had a horrible police chief several years ago who got elected mayor. Chief Mara.
Well, that certainly didn't help the out-of-control police problem. But I mean, this is a place where Free Talk Live's Rich Paul has been arrested repeatedly, as I understand it, generally for just existing.
Yeah.
And them not approving of that.
Yeah, you know, he's alive while Rich Paul, and that's why they arrest him.
Yep. Well, according to the Union Leader, which is the state of New Hampshire's largest newspaper, the food was terrible, drugs were plentiful, and respect was scarce. This is how 2 New Hampshire residents recounted their months-long incarcerations at the Valley Street Jail in Manchester. Both men, part-time radio DJ Craig Driggers and Hillsborough Deering High School graduate John Thomas. God, that sucks. That sucks if your qualifications are so poor that the only thing they point to is that you're a high school graduate.
You're a high school graduate. Yeah, well, he's like literally 19. He hasn't even started working anywhere yet.
Okay. Well, okay, that's good then. Okay. Well, they should say recent high school graduate then. It wouldn't sound so jarring then. I read something like that and I think, wow, this person sucks. But anyway, they were held awaiting trial in the 1D jail block. Their jury selection and trials took place simultaneously in the Hillsborough County Superior Court. Their verdicts, which freed them, came down the same day. Neither had prior records before going to jail. It was an experience I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy, said Driggers, 47, who was held for 4 months without bail until a jury cleared him of felony charges stemming from an alleged domestic assault. So he was held in this apparently notoriously awful jail for 4 months for something he did not do.
Right, and could not even get bailed out.
Yeah, and I would remind people who are like, well, good, jail is supposed to be harsh, that this sort of thing is not uncommon.
You're not supposed to be locking up innocent people for 4 months.
No, you're certainly not. But, you know, the United States government, they do it. The thugs do it. The mafia do it.
Not 40 years, not 4 years, not 4 months, not 4 hours.
And I mean, there have been people who have been released from death row because they were ultimately exonerated of the crimes of which they were accused. So it doesn't surprise me at all that this is probably going to be relatively common across the United States as people who are held for months in jails for crimes that they didn't commit and that juries ultimately find them not guilty of. I often felt the way I was treated there by some of the staff was guilty until proven innocent, Driggers said. Now, this, however bad Manchester might be, it can't be as bad as the jails run by Sheriff Arpaio, right?
Oh, no.
Where they dress you up in pink panties and things like that.
It's hard to get worse than that without trying very hard.
But last year there were jails in the Midwest that didn't have air conditioning, and the inmates were just in these concrete buildings without any air conditioning and with inoperable windows, you know, dying of heat. And of course, this happened in New Mexico as well under Arpaio, but he did it intentionally. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, we definitely need serious jail and prison reform here in the United States. These people are not animals. They are not subhuman. They are, in fact, humans just like you and me.
Just regular people.
Just put yourself in their shoes and being in these circumstances for things that you didn't do, for things that you're totally innocent of.
Well, you know, the thing is, most people have this weird idea that this sort of kind of justifiable that they would never actually be caught up in this sort of system because they are good people and live good lives and never get in trouble for any reason. And so they don't have to worry about going to jail.
Well, yeah, that's the myth that allows the fascism to continue, is that people believe that, you know, there's accountability and things like that. Right.
And this could never happen to me.
Yeah, right up until it happens to them. Right up until they're pulled over at 3 o'clock in the morning and they're tased by police because they asked what they were pulled over for. Then you realize that, oh, yes, this police state crap, it's actually real. And just because it hasn't yet affected you doesn't mean it's not a problem.
Yeah, it doesn't mean your number's not going to come up, because it very well might.
They look at it like this: we have a badge, you're in orange, you're guilty, we're not, said Thomas, who was charged with conspiracy to commit murder after he joked about bringing a gun to his high school graduation.
Yeah, so the reason they call him a high school graduate is because he's basically been in jail since graduation.
That was not the best joke to make. That was very poor choice.
Yeah, it was a bad joke.
Yeah, it may have been a good joke, but it was a bad idea to make the joke. I mean, especially in this climate of people just being sort of hysterical about guns in general, you know?
People are hysterical about everything these days.
He's not wrong to observe this in any police department and in any jail. That is how they look at you. And again, to turn back to psychology, there was the Stanford prison experiment that demonstrates why this is the case. When you give people authority over each other, it can turn even the most normal person into an absolute animal who abuses that authority constantly.
Oh, yeah.
David Dion, the superintendent of the jail, questions why the two did not fill out request forms or write him personally if the conditions were as bad as they say. Yeah.
Like that does anything.
Yeah, that will usually make the situation worse. I mean, that's how you end up in the showers where there are no cameras with the cops beating you with batons and nightsticks, right?
Right.
Both said that the process is flawed and not worth the effort. I mean, you don't want to snitch to the police. Right.
Right. I mean, how you have to fill this request form out through the jail guards that you're complaining about. How is this going to work?
And Dion noted that the two are not complaining that they were beaten. Wow.
Oh, yeah. He is so proud that he has gotten his jail guards to stop beating people, or at least to stop complaining about it.
And he goes on to say, I got to give the jail credit. The inmates no longer say they're being dragged around and beaten up. They're complaining about the food and being called names. While I will admit that inmates no longer being dragged around and beaten up is a positive improvement, if that is the metric you're using to determine what is and isn't acceptable conditions, then you might need to reacclimate yourself to society, because I think you've gotten confused.
In a county jail where people are awaiting trial and there are innocent people in there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, especially in county jails, because this isn't even a prison, right? Prison is for people who have been convicted, and so are parts of the jails. You generally get immediately made into a trustee and things like that.
Hillsborough County Jail, Valley Street, Manchester, New Hampshire.
I mean, that's just where you go where you're awaiting trial, and you either can't afford the bail, or as they did in one of these cases, they just say, no, you can't bail out.
You can't have bail.
Yeah. For whatever reason, I don't know. I don't think they should be able to do that unless you're a documented, proven flight risk. And that doesn't seem like it would be the case with an actual radio DJ. To be sure, both said in separate interviews that some of the corrections officers were respectful. Those officers didn't sweat the little stuff. If you didn't act up, they would leave you alone. Well, obviously not, because you were in jail under their care, but we're going to dig further into this. This is the Call to Freedom.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Nestle Toll House Morsels, helping you create special moments and memories your family will cherish forever. Visit us at tollhouse.com. You may bake for birthdays and holidays, but why stop there? Sweeten up the rest of the year by designating monthly dessert days. Treat your family to one of their favorites or surprise them with something new. Either way, you'll create a tradition everyone will love. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447. What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to SaveItPurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. SaveItPurse.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
Who told you to go this way? You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa, hey.
Who do you think you are?
Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today. You ain't going to make it. Wait a minute.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me?
Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
All right, welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom. And if you've ever wanted to enjoy the power rush of being a cop without all the paperwork, without the inmates complaining about your brutality, then you should try the Thin Blue Line game. It's the only card game in the world that allows you to shoot someone over a broken taillight and escape accountability with the magical phrase, "I feared for my life." You can get it now at thinbluelinegame.com. Again, that's thinbluelinegame.com. And if you use the coupon code CTF, then you can get all shipping costs waived. So go check it out. Again, that's thinbluelinegame.com. And speaking of police, right? Apparently, the superintendent of the jail, David Dion, considers that inmates no longer complaining about being dragged around and beaten up to be a substantial improvement.
That is a substantial improvement.
Like when people come to him with complaints, apparently, his response is, I got to give the jail credit. The inmates no longer say they're being dragged around and beaten up. Now, I'm no fan of police, and I'm no fan of assault, and I'm certainly no fan of dragging people around and beating them up. But when you put people into a position of authority like that, and you dehumanize the people that they are, in charge of, which is what happens with police. They're trained to treat us like animals. It's part of their training, right? That's why they're all just a hair away from snapping and shooting you, because they've been trained to look at you like that.
Right.
But to be sure, well, we already covered that, but others were sticklers for regulations and afraid of being accused of being soft by other staff, Drigger said. Drigger said that he was written up for having 2 pillows.
Oh my, that's a huge offense in jail.
Thomas was twice put into solitary, once for mouthing off, another time when he was accused of fighting, although that involved his cellmate striking him in the head. Now, solitary sucks. When I was 17, I spent about 24 hours in solitary confinement, and it's the reason I'm claustrophobic today. Because being thrown into a concrete wall like that, a concrete room that's like 10 feet by 10 feet, and it's just concrete in every direction except for the metal toilet, and being trapped there for a 24-hour period with absolutely no human interaction when you're 17 years old, that will seriously screw with your head.
Oh, screw with your head at any age. But
Certainly.
Yeah, 17, it's, oh my God, what are you doing to people?
Yeah. Well, they didn't want to put me in the regular jail, and they didn't have a holding jail, so they're like, well, we'll just use solitary. And the whole thing turned out to be my father's fault because he was the one who asked them to arrest me. So, yeah. He felt corrections officers purposely tried to get under his skin and that they liked fights. Dion said he has no record of Thomas in administrative segregation. He said Thomas was once struck by his cellmate, but Thomas denied being hit and was given medical attention. Dion said his staff has lots of discretion. If an inmate ignores repeated demands, for example, to make his bed, he will be written up. But if an inmate has just gotten bad news about his case or a family member, the staff will go easy on him. We're counselors, we're medical, we're psychological, Dion said. I don't believe...
These are not people you want as your counselors.
Yeah, I don't believe any of that to be true.
People who literally live, who get off on messing with you, screwing with you, making you, getting under your skin, are not your counselors.
Both Driggers and Thomas said they were called a derogatory term for gay people by staff.
No surprise.
No, none at all. None whatsoever. I'm surprised that that would happen in New Hampshire, to be honest. But if they were arrested anywhere in the South, I would not be at all surprised. Driggers said an officer used the term when Driggers mistakenly approached the officer on his final day there, believing the officer was going to escort Driggers out of the jail. Thomas said corrections officers used the term after strip searching him in his cell and throwing his clothes in the toilet.
Nice guys.
That was a low point during his stay. The jail had accidentally released him, then tracked him down and arrested him in front of his mother.
Yeah, you're 18, you just graduated from high school. That's unpleasant.
Yeah. He felt the staff blamed him for their mistake. Now, it also sounds like a violation of double jeopardy. I imagine the ACLU could actually do something with that because he was technically arrested and punished for the same offense because of their mistake.
Right.
He may not have been tried 2 times for the same offense, but he was certainly convicted and punished him without trial, which is an issue in its own right. Another time, Thomas asked for a pen while talking to his mother on the telephone. A corrections officer said he would give him a pen in exchange for a crude sex act. Dion said he can't say that staff didn't use derogatory language. It could have happened. Should it have happened? No, he said, adding such behavior would be corrected.
Yeah, I'll believe that when I see it.
Yeah, so you got staff asking people for blowjobs in exchange for pens, and you've got them calling people fags, which, is kind of projection if you're asking people for blowjobs.
Yeah, if you're a guy asking someone for a blowjob, who is the... Yeah.
It reminds
you got that
me,
one right.
It reminds me of this MMA wrestler who once... He kept using that word that I'm not supposed to say on Twitch. I need to just make a note right there. Stop saying that. And but he kept calling this other fighter that, and he ended up wearing the shirt that said in profanity, "I just effed you in the A," right? Which has never meant, nothing has ever meant one thing as hard as that, right? That only has one meaning. But if you are wearing a shirt that, and if you've accused this person of regularly being gay, and you're wearing a shirt that says you just had anal sex with them, you're not exactly coming out of that insult looking heterosexual.
No, you certainly are not.
Drugs were easy to get at Valley Street, both former inmates said. Drigger said Suboxone was the most plentiful, and most inmates had figured out how to sneak drugs through the X-ray system. Thomas added methamphetamine, cocaine, and tobacco to the mix. He said corrections officers brought it in.
Again, no surprise.
None at all. I mean, that this is the issue with gun control, right? Is that we can't keep guns and drugs out of our prisons, and people honestly think we're going to do it for the entire freaking continental United States.
Yeah, not going to happen.
Thomas said a cellmate once forced him to snort cocaine, reasoning that if Thomas snitched, cocaine would be found in Thomas's bloodstream and both would be penalized. Oh, that sucks.
That is terrible. That should have ended it right there.
Yeah, Dion said heroin and fentanyl are his two biggest problems in the jail. He said most inmates ingest the drugs when they are in the admissions unit before they are thoroughly searched and the drugs are found. He said no employees have ever been caught bringing drugs into work, but they are not subject to searches or x-ray scans. Some workers have been suspected of smuggling, been placed under investigation, and quit before the investigation went very far to go work at some other jail where they can abuse inmates and sneak in drugs and make a little money on the side, like you can do if you buy the Thin Blue Line game at thinbluelinegame.com.
Assault and battery is not included.
He invited Driggers and Thomas to call him with information about drugs. That's a safety concern to me. I would want as little to do with Dion as possible. After hearing some of this, we were told that one of the guys who started Cop Block, after spending time in this jail, left New Hampshire altogether. And after hearing some of this, I can't say I blame him. I am certainly never going to Manchester, and I am certainly never going to let myself be arrested there.
Yeah, I don't blame you a bit. I lived in Manchester for 10 years. It is Valley Street is as bad as they say in this article, and worse apparently.
I mean, our jail here in Keene is it's not pleasant because it's a jail, but it's pleasant enough that it's referred to as the Cheshire County Spiritual Retreat,
right?
Rather than somewhere where you're likely to get beaten up and demanded of blowjobs by the staff.
No.
One would assume, right?
Well, everyone knows everyone here.
Sounds like a spiritual retreat to me, but not to everybody.
You couldn't get away with that kind of behavior. It would get out too fast.
The two former inmates also said that the food was terrible. Yeah, I mean, it's jail. It's really not going to be good.
Yeah, they don't know how to make food in jail.
I mean, there was a special a few years ago about how Meals for Wheels in some state or another, some city or another, was using jail food to provide for its people who otherwise couldn't have meals. And all of that aside, the fact that this food sucks, what pissed me off about it was at the end, the guy was like, this isn't food, I'm not even going to eat this, threw it away, and then went to Arby's and bought lunch. Like, look, I don't mean to be that person, but if you've got money for Arby's, then you don't need Meals on Wheels in the first place. This is the Call to Freedom. We're going to get back to Manchester, although not in person, in just a moment.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Did you know you can listen to LRN.FM via our free-to-air satellite channels? We have channels over nearly all of North America and much of Africa. All you need is an affordable receiver and a dish as small as 30 inches. There are no monthly fees. Learn more at sat.lrn.fm. Plus, if you are a broadcaster or want to be one, this is a good delivery method for our content. See our coverage maps and get details at sat.lrn.fm. That's sat.lrn.fm. sat.lrn.fm. Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
More of the Call to Freedom is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for Liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,316. Silver is trading at $15.37, and Bitcoin is trading around $4,009. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Then let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at InnoScale.net. In the news, a new report from Amnesty International reveals that U.S. airstrikes from aircraft and drones have increased in Somalia, resulting in the deaths of at least 14 civilians. The Conscious Resistance, citing the Mind Unleashed, says that due to a literal blackout of all news related to the ongoing wars waged by the U.S. military, most Americans can't name the nations in which the military is currently engaged in conflict or dropping bombs. The report, titled The Hidden U.S. War in Somalia, details the history of terrorist attacks by al-Qaeda and al-Shabaab, the history of U.S. military involvement in Somalia, the current numbers on drone strikes and the impact on Somalis. The report also outlines conclusions about how the U.S. military should approach the situation moving forward. The report shows the U.S. military has tripled the annual rate of drone strikes in Somalia since April 2017. The number of strikes in 2018 was higher than strikes taking place in Libya and Yemen combined. Despite the increase in strikes, the U.S. military continues to claim that no civilians have died. The Amnesty International report investigates 5 incidents in Lower Subel, Somalia, in which 14 civilians were killed and 8 injured. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Bray Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Bray Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, fighting for your right to consume plant-based medicine and natural remedies. Find out more at mybraybotanicals.com. And listen up, Liberty Beat listeners. Right now, you can save 10% off your purchase by using promo code SNLS at checkout. This is the latest edition of the Liberty Beat, online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow reporting. Your news now continues. Documents obtained by the American Civil Liberties Union reveal that local police are helping ICE spy on Americans. That word comes in a report from The Mind Unleashed, which says that in May of 2018, the ACLU of Northern California filed a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit against the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement after the agency refused to comply with requests for records related to a massive automatic license plate reader database operated by a company called Vigilant Solutions. The records reveal that local law enforcement agencies are helping ICE by sharing residents' location information with the federal agency. The documents reveal that more than 9,000 ICE agents have access to the license plate reader database as a result of a $6.1 million contract with Vigilant Solutions. The Verge first reported on the contract in 2018. In yet another major move from the Lawyers Committee for 9/11 Inquiry, architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth, and 9/11 victim family members Robert McIlvaine and Barbara Krukowski-Rastelli, a joint federal lawsuit has been filed to assess any evidence the FBI may have known about that contributed to the destruction of the towers on 9/11, which may have been kept from Congress. The complaint cites the failure of the FBI and its 9/11 Review Commission to assess key 9/11-related evidence that the FBI can be shown to have had or been aware of. According to the press release issued by architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth, the evidence is relevant to the 9/11 Review Commission's and the FBI's compliance with the mandate from Congress, which should have been assessed by the FBI and 9/11 Review Commission and reported to Congress. The complaint also cites the destruction by the FBI of evidence related to the high fivers. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. It's simple. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting with the latest edition of the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
As of today, the average cost of a pack of cigarettes has gone up to 2 hand jobs and a stick of beef jerky. For more, we go now to Onion News Network prison economics expert Hal Rogan.
The prison economy runs on cigarettes. They're involved in every economic transaction at some stage, from contract killings to naked woman picture acquisition.
Right.
That's why we've got shampoo at 6 batteries. We've got tattoos at 50 commissary stamps.
Now, for what it's really like out there in the market, let's check in with major cigarette trader Big Dap Ramirez. Big Dap, nice to see you again.
Thanks, Rick. Good to see you. What's happening, Hal?
How's it going, Big Dap?
Now, it's obviously a boom time for cigarettes right now.
I'm getting a lot of hand
But with
jobs.
prices this high, analysis shows you're going to be seeing a drop-off in real sales soon as consumers turn to smoking grass fajos.
Look, we've been through this before. The market teaches us not to panic. But if I learn anything in this game, it's that a wife or girlfriend will pass off a few decks in the boneyard. Supply will normalize, and we'll see cigarettes returning to a single hand job or less.
Big Dap, best of luck to you. We'll keep checking in on the story with Hal throughout the day.
Thanks, Rick.
Moving on to some happier news. In Atlanta today, 2 snitches were beaten to death.
This is the Onion News Network.
All right, welcome back to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. As always, I'm your host, Arya DeMezzo of theanarchistshemale.com, joined in the studio today by
Michael Hampton from BitcoinHistory.com.
And we've got news regarding Trump's attempted ban on bump stocks. The Supreme Court has rejected efforts to stop Trump's ban on rapid-fire bump stocks.
So all you people who decided to turn them in, sorry, you're not getting them back.
No, and that's a really poor way to write the headline, I would say. It's basically, rubber stamping approving the rapid-fire bump stock ban, and it's got 2 negatives in it, which I'm not a big fan of. But it does not simply and easily convey the headline. The devices, which figured prominently in the 2017 mass shooting in Las Vegas that killed 58 people, were outlawed as of Tuesday. Now, unlike a lot of people, I'm okay with this because bump stocks, they really only served the purpose of firing into a crowd of people or a crowd of things, because you're sacrificing accuracy for rate of fire, and that really only matters when you have an enormous target and are trying to hit as many things as possible. Otherwise, you would prefer accuracy, not rate of fire. Serious gun enthusiasts generally laugh at the entire bump stock idea. But the Supreme Court declined Thursday to take up an appeal challenging a federal ban on bump stocks that went into effect Tuesday. I don't know why. I mean, it's pretty obvious, pretty self-explanatory based on the Second Amendment that the federal government has infringed on the right to keep and bear arms.
Well, obviously.
Of the American people.
They've been doing that for more than a century now.
They have, indeed. And I would say that all of those laws should be repealed.
Oh, I agree with you. Start everything back to the NFA and probably beyond that.
But Trump, the Republican, mind you, the NRA buddies, outlawed the devices, which allow rifles to be fired rapidly. Afterward, owners, dealers, and manufacturers were required to destroy them by midnight Monday or turn them into a local office of the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. Oh, there's a new one now. It's not just the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. It's also
they
explosives.
added in explosives.
Wow. Why did they do that?
I don't know. Hopefully soon we'll be able to get chips, too.
As always, though, yes, absolutely, because as always, that should be the name of a store and not a government agency.
Right.
That would be like my favorite store ever.
Oh, yeah, I'd go there all the time.
Like if Corner News up here were to sell firearms, explosives, and alcohol.
And tobacco.
They already have tobacco.
Oh,
so.
right.
But bump stocks figured prominently. Why would they repeat that? Of 22 semi-automatic rifles in the hotel room used by the gunman, 14 were equipped with bump stocks, prompting President Donald Trump to push for a ban. Republican Donald Trump. Gun rights groups filed 2 separate Supreme Court appeals. One, directed by Chief Justice John Roberts, was rejected Tuesday. A second, filed with Justice Sonia Sotomayor, was turned down Thursday after she referred it to the full court. In both decisions, the court gave no explanation following its usual procedure. Yeah. Love that accountability.
Yeah, they don't have to give you an explanation.
But, you know, as Rothbard observed in Anatomy of the State, the Supreme Court is a branch of the state. It's absolutely part of the state. And when we made the Supreme Court, we basically gave the state the power to determine what the state could and could not do. It's flawed ideologically from the start.
It's certainly not independent in any meaningful way, and there is no meaningful way to make it independent.
And well, there were independent courts going back hundreds of years, especially in England.
I mean the U.S. Supreme Court. It's defined in the Constitution as what it is. It will never be independent unless.
Oh yeah, we would have to rip up the Constitution, but the Constitution has never mattered anyway.
Yeah, it's just a piece of paper.
A lawsuit challenging the ban remains before a federal court in Washington. The 2 Supreme Court appeals sought a temporary halt to the ban, while the lower court case was pending. Once attached to a rifle in place of the normal stock or end piece, bump stocks allow rounds to be fired in quick succession, almost as fast as an automatic weapon. The Trump administration concluded that they violated a federal law banning machine guns, defined as weapons that automatically fire more than one shot with a single function of the trigger. Well, that is technically false, and that's how bump stocks work. They use the recoil and springs to push the trigger into your finger. So you are pulling the trigger each time a bullet is fired. An ATF spokesman declined Thursday to say how many bump stocks were surrendered before the ban went into effect.
Yeah, probably 5 or 6.
Adding that the agency does not feel the number turned in is an accurate depiction because there were alternative methods of disposal.
They don't want to admit the number because it was depressingly low.
Because local ATF offices around the country said very few were turned in. An exception was in the state of Washington, where 1,000 were turned over to the state patrol.
Well, that must have been like a distributor or something.
Each person surrendering a bump stock received $150 under a state buyback program.
Oh, that's why they turned them in.
Yeah, because you got money for it.
Right.
I still wouldn't recommend surrendering your guns to the federal government, you know? It amazes me that anybody did this at all, whether in New Zealand or in the United States, but that's the power of fear, you know?
Well, there are a few people that did it specifically so that they could join this lawsuit.
New Jersey did it, and like nobody turned in bump stocks.
States. I mean, there were specifically people that turned in their bump stocks so that they could get.
I was just
become plaintiffs on that lawsuit.
I know. I was just carrying the conversation forward by talking about something related. But yeah, nobody turned. Even in New Jersey, which is like. Yeah. Almost as bad as New York and California.
Nobody turned in. Rhode Island, I read that nobody turned in the bump stocks.
I would imagine nobody in New Hampshire turned in their bump stocks.
Yeah, it doesn't seem likely.
But they did in Washington, where more than 1,000 people, more than 1,000 bump stocks were turned over to the state patrol. Now, that may actually be because there's a bump stock manufacturer in Washington.
Right. Now, I did hear about a distributor, I think it was in Texas maybe, that actually did destroy about 60,000 bump stocks.
Wow.
So
my question would be to Cody Wilson, who did the 3D gun blueprints.
We have one.
We do. You can, in fact, print a bump stock.
Yes.
So this is completely useless anyway.
I've got the URL. It's on Facebook. We can find it.
Well, when the federal government began cracking down on all of this nonsense, I put the blueprints on library because they can't be removed from my computer, right? Unless I remove them. So they'll always be there now. And even if they're not, you can find them on the dark web or the Pirate Bay or any of these other websites that just constantly give the middle finger to the federal government.
Yeah, this stuff is not going away. You can't make something disappear from the internet. You just can't.
No, I mean, you can 3D print your own guns now. So in what insane mindset does gun control have any possibility whatsoever of working?
It doesn't. Gun control is pretty much dead at this point. It's a zombie. It's a walking zombie that eventually is going to have its head blown off, and that will be the end of gun control.
Now, you can't 3D print an AK-47 yet.
You can 3D print an AR-15 lower. There is one out there.
Really?
I've actually seen it demonstrated.
Wow. Because what I was under the impression of was that the plastic wasn't strong enough to even sustain multiple shots.
The one I saw, it actually did last long enough to go through a full magazine. So
wow. That's impressive. So Google that, AR-15 3D print, and you can be on the terrorist watch list just like we are.
It's definitely not lonely here on the terrorist watch list.
It is not, but we're always looking for more companies. So definitely go to Google, which is turning this information over to the federal government, and go ahead and look for those plans, and go ahead and print yourself an AR-15, or spend tens of thousands of dollars with these metal fabrication printers, and build yourself an actual metal one using the same plans. This is the Call to Freedom, helping you get around stupid government regulations. So don't go anywhere. We're going to dig further into stupid things the government is doing here in just a moment.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
Now that you've found the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM, you may want to help expose others to our great programs. To assist you in doing so, you'll find resources at promote.lrn.fm, including details on how to get a free bumper sticker, quarter-page flyers you can print out and distribute, banners for your website, as well as files that will allow you to make your own custom banners and graphics. Visit promote.lrn.fm and help bring new listeners to the Liberty Radio Network. That's promote.lrn.fm.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with AgristHosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to AgristHosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's AgristHosting.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom. You're invited to give us a call at 603-283-6160. Again, that's 603-283-6160, or you can use the Discord call-in lines, which you can find at discord.lrn.fm. And speaking of the telephone lines, we're actually now being called by Alex, who is calling us from Texas. Alex, what's on your mind?
Hi there, hon. Good to talk to both of you. Alex Jones, Infowars.com. Listen, I got a little bit of whiskey in me here. I want to talk about some things going on in my life with my career going downhill. But real quick, you're right about the jails. You're right about the prisons. You're right about the corruption. That's why I'm a libertarian like you guys, Aria and Michael and Ian and all them.
You are not a libertarian like us.
Oh, BS, Missy. No, I'll tell you why.
Didn't you go
I'm
hard
for Trump.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You went hard for Trump, right?
Oh, I'm very hard in many ways. Oh, yeah, it's like you.
Trump got you hard, huh?
Oh, yeah, baby. Yeah. I don't know, that little thing with the red hair there sitting with the kielbasa in her dress. We'll get to that later. The point is, I want sexual harassment is great. I want Trump to bring providence, to bring peace, to bring the Moshiach, the Messiah, to the world, and we have to do that by expanding the police state. So if Trump says ban our AR-15s and AK-47, it's fine so long as he executes Democrats. What do y'all think about that?
I don't think that Democrats should be executed. Certainly not. And I don't think that anything that Trump is going to do is going to bring about any sort of peace or stability for the world, or even for the United States. Alex?
Did we lose Alex?
Well, no, we would hear a dial tone if we had lost him.
Oh, yeah.
So that was weird. But Donald Trump certainly not sucks. It reminds me, though, of a question I got on Quora shortly before the election actually occurred, where people asked me, was Donald Trump a threat to world peace? And the question just struck me as so profoundly stupid, because we haven't ever had world peace, and we certainly
what is this
don't.
World peace thing?
We certainly don't have it now. I mean, we're in 6 undeclared wars here in the United States. At least 6 undeclared wars. It was 6 last time anybody bothered to count. I think it's probably 8 or 9 by now.
When's the last time there wasn't a war going on somewhere in the world?
And this is what people are characterizing as world peace. And my answer was that, if Donald Trump is a threat to that, if he's a threat to the current state of affairs, if I genuinely believed that, then I would vote for him. Because the current state of affairs is one of war and unchecked imperialism.
Yeah, I don't know where you're getting this world peace definition from, but it sure looks like a whole lot of war.
Yeah, it's definitely got a lot of war to it. Unfortunately, we do seem to have lost Rev. But speaking of Donald Trump, where did it go? He is telling Russia to get its troops out of Venezuela.
Oh.
Apparently, he has made the demand while hosting Fabiana Rosales, wife of opposition leader Juan Guaido, at the White House. Now, Juan has also been banned in Venezuela from running for office. And I think that is a pretty good indication of the state of affairs in Venezuela, that, you know, their opposition, they are now banning from running for office. But Donald Trump made this demand while speaking to the relatively attractive Fabiana Rosales, wife of Juan Guaido. Apparently, he has called on Russia to pull its troops from Venezuela and warned that all options were open to making that happen. The arrival of 2 Russian Air Force planes carrying nearly 100 Russian troops outside Caracas on Saturday has escalated the political crisis in Venezuela. Russia and China have backed President Maduro, while the United States and most Western countries support opposition leader Juan Guaido.
This can't end well.
In January, no, it's Cold War Part 2. In January, Guaido invoked the Constitution to declare himself interim president, arguing Maduro's 2018 re-election was illegitimate. The U.S. government says Russian troops include special forces and cybersecurity personnel. They've got a lot of pressure right now. They have no money. They have no oil. They have no nothing. Oh, God, I hate you, Donald Trump. They've got plenty of pressure right now. They have no electricity, Trump said. Other than military, you can't get any more pressure than they have. All options are open. Russia has bilateral relations and agreements with Venezuela, which it plans to honor. Russian Deputy UN Ambassador Dmitry Polyansky said in response to Trump's comments, "It's not up to the United States to decide actions and fate of other countries. It's up to the people of Venezuela and its only legitimate president, Nicolas Maduro. And the poor people of Venezuela are going to get caught into this pissing match between the United States and Russia that has been going on for quite a while, even though, you know, Donald Trump is totally colluding with the Russians."
Oh yeah, look, it sure looks like he's colluding with the Russians.
Yeah,
look at this coordination here.
Maduro also said that a high-profile Venezuela-Russian intergovernmental meeting will be held in April, adding the sides plan to sign nearly 20 agreements in the spheres of economy, energy, trade, and education. So basically, Russia is going to come forward, it seems, to keep Venezuela limping along in the same way that it did with so many socialist countries that were part of the USSR's bloc.
That's how they did it.
That's also one of the reasons they failed, because they couldn't sustain that indefinitely. And they know that. Venezuela, this communist socialist paradise, as people once called it, as Bernie Sanders once called it, cannot subsist without this external money coming into it.
Well, you know, that wasn't real socialism.
Well, it was until it stopped working. And then they're like, oh, no, it's not real socialism. But they praised it as real socialism at the time. The president also announced that Caracas awaits another delivery of humanitarian aid from Moscow. Oh, they're accepting that.
Oh, yeah, they're taking the Russian humanitarian aid. But
on February the 22nd, but while they are denying any need for the humanitarian aid.
Well, somebody needs that. Maduro needs it to feed his troops so they don't defect.
On February the 22nd, the Latin America country received 7.5 tons of humanitarian cargo from Russia, including medicine, medical equipment, and consumables. Maduro, who retains control of state functions and the country's military, has said Guaido is a puppet of the United States. Trump hosted Guaido's wife, Fabiana Rosales, who is a journalist and opposition activist, at the White House on Wednesday. She told Trump that Guaido was attacked on Tuesday, though she did not provide details. "I fear for my husband's life," she said. She was accompanied by the wife and sister of Roberto Marrero, Guaido's chief of staff, who was arrested and detained last week. And that's socialism right there. It's collapsing, so opposition is being rounded up and beaten into compliance.
The killed comes next.
Yep. This is the call to freedom. Don't go anywhere.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
And in a surprise announcement this morning, U.S. Deputy Surgeon General Greg Paulson stated that, quote, it's fine to smoke cigarettes if you only smoke while drinking. The Deputy Surgeon General has called a press conference to discuss the shocking findings, which began just moments ago. Let's go live to that now.
Was there a particular study this report was based on?
Look, that determination was made after considering that someone who only smokes when at bars or parties ends up smoking maybe 15 cigarettes a month, while regular smokers are smoking 150 to 200 cigarettes each week. So we feel that it's just obvious that as long as you don't actually buy the cigarettes and you only smoke them while consuming the alcohol, then the risks of getting lung cancer are basically mostly negligible. Just common sense.
This announcement comes on the heels of the Surgeon General's last announcement that drinking and driving is fine if you ate a lot that day or if it's a route you take all the time sober. Moving on, the Japanese Space Agency has announced plans to put a schoolgirl on the moon by 2015.
This is the Onion News Network.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
All right, welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom. As always, I'm going to remind you real quick that our podcasts have moved and are no longer being uploaded to Spreaker, and they can instead be found at calltofreedomlive.podbean.com, or you can follow the RSS feed by using calltofreedomlive.podbean.com/feed.xml. And we're going to go back now to Alex, whose audio we just sort of suddenly lost here in a moment, but he called back during the break.
We are under attack by that piece of elephant feces, Soros. That's why my audio was dropped, Aria. Thank you for taking the call again, Aria, Michael, Ian, and Jazzy, LRN.FM, Infowars.com. I'm telling you, just like when that trans porn popped up on my phone, which I had nothing to do with, was trying to hire some English lady, right? My call gets attacked by the globalists. I'm telling you right now. Can you all hear me okay now, though?
We can hear you just fine.
We can indeed.
All right, well, listen, I know it's your show, even though I'm a narcissistic son of a you-know-what, and I love to take over and interrupt. But I just want to get this out to you. Some interesting things have been happening here at InfoWars. I don't know if you're aware.
Paul Joseph Watson, the bumhole that just mindlessly parrots back conservative talking points,
is leaving InfoWars, apparently. I guess he's had enough of me, or I can't afford him anymore after 20 years. And
what
Owen
the hell
Benjamin
was that?
Yo, what?
That was Paul Joseph Watson.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, you never heard Paul Joseph Watson? He used to talk about
fruity things like Zionism, but now he just focuses on the Muslim buttholes because that's safer.
You never heard Paul Joseph Watson there, Michael Hampton?
Never heard him. I read all the stuff he writes on occasion, but never heard him speak.
No, that's what he's talking about. Paul, get over here. He's got some more whiskey for me. Aria, first of all, let me tell you, I don't want to take too much time, but how is both of y'all's days going? Because, I got 100 employees. I'm not bragging. I'm a superior male. I'm God in man form and a big fat pig form. But, I'm better than everybody. But how are you little people doing? Go ahead and tell me.
I'm doing pretty good. The show is doing well. It may not be on InfoWars level of popularity, but
yet
that's sort of because we kind of refrain from saying crazy things. Like, Alex, it was recently brought to my attention that during the Y2K thing, you were doing this live broadcast of telling people that the world was ending, and you actually said on video that Russian troops had invaded the continental United States.
Did they?
Okay, now I'm sorry, it appears that I said that, but you have to understand MK Ultra too. It goes all the way back to Dachau, Double Dongers, Detroit Rock City, Dexter Holland, Doogie Howser, and Donatello Versace. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Not at all.
Jesus Lord Almighty. Sorry, pray with me, Aria. Pray with me, Jesus Lord Almighty, Jesus Christ Almighty, John 3:16, the light of the world. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, I did do that. My clone, I should say, did that because Soros, that piece of garbage, funded it, right? Hillary Clinton, Obama, goes all the way back to the Egyptian pyramids. We was Kangs, all that kind of stuff. The point is, I did say that, but it was only, like I said on Joe Rogan, to sell survival gear. So who cares?
Okay, fair enough, I guess. I mean, you got stuff to sell. I get that.
All right, let me just take a little more of your time. I know you got to move on here, but I want to get to dehumanizing and sexually harassing you, because boy, if there's 30 things, Alex Jones, 4 things: food, whiskey, real women, and trannies, baby. But I got to tell you right now. So real quickly, did you all hear about how I was at the chicken place and a bunch of leftist communist scumbags started screaming at me? Did you see that video? It's going viral.
I did not see that video.
I did not see it.
Well, the point is that they start attacking me, but then they only film the part where I'm responding. I mean, I can't even go into public places, scream the N-word, kick over tables, or go into the men's room and kick open something in my throat there, kick open stall doors, screaming racial slurs and gay stuff without people calling me a homophobe and a racist, and I can't even defecate on Muslims' graves and spread fecal swastikas without the ADL getting all over my rear end.
Oh,
what
that's
you think
so
about
unfair.
That? I know, it's terrible, Michael. He's not a globalist. Michael, we're breaking the conditioning. I'm sorry, Lord Jesus, I got so mad. Listen, I'll let you go soon, but I just wanted to say that, InfoWars might be reaching out to LRN.FM. We might have to talk to Mr. Ian Freeman. Stuff is not going too well, folks. Trying to keep liberty alive, selling the boner pills, selling the bone broth 50% off. But I got to tell you, Aria, I want to tell you one thing with some whiskey and me, baby. I want to get you in a little goddamn leather miniskirt there, dress you up like an ANCAP dominatrix in the black and the gold, have you abuse me like nobody's business. What you think about that there?
I have a leather miniskirt.
I can't. We can't even say it on air, right? No, children, family, Lord Jesus, transgenderism is disgusting, perversion. Abuse them. But all I want to say, real quick, I'd like you to stick me deep like a shish kebab through a pig with that Mississippi tranny kielbasa, baby. The thing about Michael. Let me tell you something. The thing about a trans woman. All right, now I got my little wife, my little big-nosed, Yenta wife, whatever, who cares, hot little body. She's only with my fat ass for the money. Sorry for the cursing, Lord Jesus Christ. Deuteronomy 25:13. The point is, when you're with a tranny, it smells like a man, like it's good. And when they ravage you, or you ravage them in the fun hole, baby, you got some Texas cattle going on. But
Hold on. I thought the best part of being with a trans woman was that you could reach around and pretend it went all the way through.
Very nice. Normally I'd laugh at that joke, but I like to pretend that I invented that joke. So, yeah, it's like a trans woman, except you reach all the way through. I'm not an egotist at all, of course. But all I want to say is this. You take that Mississippi kielbasa, boy. I've seen you. Now, you got the trannies with the little shoulders. They're more like real women, but you get the trannies with the big shoulders. I'm sorry, trans women, whatever, ADL, George Soros, all the garbage. And I tell you what, they will give you a Rolgerin, mate, for sure. I gotta tell you, man, they'll hold you, ride you like a Bronco buster, like old school WWF X-Pac. You ever seen that there?
I'm still stuck on something you said a moment ago. I have never been told that having sex with me is like it smells like having sex with a man. That is a new one to me.
Not bad. Not like a Muslim man that smells like camel feces. Because I love everybody. I'm not biased against Muslims, but let Zionist buttholes get away with everything and only call out the Muslim buttholes. You understand? Go ahead so I can interrupt you again and then get off here. But go ahead, hon.
Are you speaking from experience when you say this?
Well, I mean metaphysically, metaphorically, metastically, metastasizing, transgenderism, transcategorically, and phantasmagorically. Of course, I would never be with a tranny. I'm not saying I haven't butt banged and gotten booty banged by a bunch of them packing everything from 4 inches to 14 inches, the Texas steers and queers. Woo! All I'm saying is this here. Trans women are women. I mean, they're technically men, but they're women because we're not hateful. And listen, if I got my booty hole stretched out by a hot T-babe Marissa Minx that I flied in from Aussie land, don't think I won't come down to New Hampshire in my Ferrari with Owen Schroyer, and we won't go macking with Michael Hampton and Ian Freeman, and even little Vincent. We'll corrupt that little boy as well, turn him into a girl pretty soon, and pick up hot females, hot trannies, and Aria, you and I will be booty banging in my Ferrari. Done, bitch. Hasta luego.
Hold on. Do you have a Ferrari? I doubt that Alex Jones has a Ferrari. If he does, he could certainly give me a call and we could make something happen if he's going to turn over the keys to that thing.
I'm not sure you want to drive a Ferrari around here. We've got it's like Pothole Street here, Pothole Avenue.
Well, I mean, if somebody else is, giving me the Ferrari, then I don't really care about hitting the potholes.
Yeah, but
that'd be their problem.
Then you've got a damaged Ferrari. Well, if they're giving it to, if they're just letting you borrow it, then it doesn't matter. You drive through.
Oh no, I'm more expensive than that. Sorry, Alex. You'd have to give me the Ferrari.
Well, then you'd have a Ferrari that's been driven through potholes, and it's all the.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have paid for it, so it wouldn't matter to me. Because, I mean, that's what it ultimately comes back down to. I mean, that's why we value various things, is because we spend money on them. That's why, if you give somebody something, they just generally don't, unless, there's sentimental value and attachments and things like that. But yeah, I would certainly treat a Ferrari given to me by Alex Jones in exchange for sex with less respect and diligence than I would a Ferrari that I bought and paid for myself.
Right.
So that's my price. If you're looking to hire me as a prostitute, one Ferrari. This is the call to freedom.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
This is novelist Tom Robbins. When my mother was diagnosed with glaucoma, her conservative Virginia physician told her there was only one treatment that might ease her pain and save her eyesight. That treatment was medical marijuana, which he could not prescribe. I offered to get her some and teach her how to use it effectively, but my father objected because marijuana was against the law. So my mother, who loved to read and walk in nature, was condemned to grow cruelly, unnecessarily blind. Tragedies like this happen all the time, but they don't have to keep happening. To learn more about medical marijuana, call the Marijuana Policy Project at 1-877-JOIN-MPP or visit them on the web at mpp.org.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
All right, welcome back to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM, broadcast as always from the Liberty Radio studios here in Keene, New Hampshire, and you're invited to give us a call at 603-283-6160. Again, that's 603-283-6160. And Michael just brought in a story regarding the global police, whoever that is, arresting dozens of people in a dark web sting. More trouble in dark markets? A notorious black market bazaar announces plans to close up shop on the same day that police announced the arrests of 61 people. Law enforcement from Europe, the U.S., and Canada have announced the results of a recent international sting against dozens of people who reportedly sold and bought illicit goods on the dark web. So, who safely bought drugs that they knew were relatively safe. Right, the federal government has decided to arrest them.
People that just went out and decided they needed to have some drug or whatever, went and got it, and instead got arrested. It's something that shouldn't be illegal in the first place.
Now, as far as I'm aware, the FBI is still operating a child porn ring on Instagram and I think Telegram.
Kick.
Kick was the other. That has led to absolutely no arrests.
Right.
But the FBI was, to be fair, the FBI was the largest distributor of child porn on the planet in 2016.
Indeed.
So who are they going to really arrest for child porn at this point if they're not arresting themselves? And I think that staggering number should be more publicized than it is. I think more people should be aware of that. Just the fact that in 2016, the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation,
distributes child porn.
Not just distributes.
Is the biggest
But in 2016 was the biggest distributor on the planet of child pornography.
Well, now they are taking people's marijuana away.
The sting led to the arrests of 61 people who are believed to have plied their trade using 50 dark web accounts.
What the hell is a dark web account? I mean, you use Tor. You know how this basically works.
I assume they mean 50 different accounts on these various
on a
markets.
Website.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, there's certainly no dark web account.
Yeah, this is just bad reporting, and I actually looked at several articles, and this was kind of my least disfavored one that was covering this story.
The police also seized nearly 300 kilos of drugs, 51 firearms, and over 7 million USD. 2/3 were a virtual currency, while the remainder was in cold, hard cash. So 2/3 of this was Bitcoin or Monero.
Yeah,
I mean, let's
Monero.
just be honest. Most likely Monero now. Now that ransomware and other black market operators have moved away from Bitcoin because they've realized, oh crap, this actually is not anonymous at all.
It's not anonymous, and the fees are too high.
In Europe, well, I think the fees have gotten more reasonable, haven't they? Or is that
they're still kind of up there? It still costs.
And it's
several
also
cents.
just because the price of Bitcoin has fallen so much.
Yeah, true.
I think that if Bitcoin gets back up to the $20,000 range, then the fees will escalate accordingly.
Yeah, they'll go through the roof again.
In Europe, the operation encompassed 17 countries, notably Germany, the Netherlands, Austria, and Portugal. Why notably those? What is the point of singling out these 4 countries?
I don't know.
The Europol, Europe's law enforcement agency, released on Tuesday. A statement from the U.S. FBI sheds additional light on the operation. I would like them to shine light on their distribution of child pornography.
Join the club.
But that's just me. Preparations for the crackdown began in July 2018 when 60 experts from 19 countries, Eurojust and Europol, looked for the illegal sale and signs of counterfeit goods and money, drugs, cybercrime, document fraud, non-cash payment fraud. Non-cash payment fraud. What does that mean?
I am not sure.
Trafficking in human beings and trafficking in firearms and explosives. Now,
and out of all that, they found a bunch of drug dealers.
Yeah, the best way to end human trafficking is to legalize prostitution.
Bingo.
I'm sorry to inform people of this who, shared their Puritanist values that were, inspirations for most North American laws, but you're not outlawing prostitution. So bring it out into the open where you can see in places like King County and other places in Nevada where, there isn't any human trafficking because this happens above the board.
And you're not supposed to legislate morality anyway. I mean, come on, even Jesus told you not to do that.
Yeah, you're certainly not. You're not supposed to tell people what they can and can't put into their bodies, who they can and can't have sex with, or under what circumstances 2 adults can have permissible sex. But I mean, if the Puritans had their way, sodomy would still be illegal, as it is, or at least it was in Mississippi until 2016, which included, husband and wife. It was illegal to get a blowjob from your wife in the state of Mississippi.
I believe it.
Now, that's out of control theocracy. And this sort of legislation is promoted and supported by the same people who are frothing at the mouth over this legislation in Brunei or whatever it was. I'm speaking from memory now, where, they're instituting Islamic law and things like that. It's like, okay, but if you Christians had the chance.
It's just Old Testament Leviticus stuff.
You can and would and did do all of this yourselves. The only difference was you used Western systems of punishment as opposed to Middle Eastern or East Asian systems of punishment.
There isn't really that much difference.
I don't know. I would say there is a difference between being put in jail and being stoned to death.
Okay, there's a difference there. The punishment is different, but the so-called crimes are the same.
Absolutely. And it's motivated by the same religious BS, which is that, I'm right, my God said so, and I believe in this God because this God tells me what I want to believe anyway, so anyone who disagrees with me is wrong and should be in jail. What in the world is up, dog? We've been asked by Robo in it, whether we got any up, dog. I think he's referring to Jazz. Oh, yeah, he's probably referring to Jazzy because I forgot to turn back on the switcher.
We've got a dog in the studio. Do you want to see more of the dog?
Well, she's not up. She's not an active dog. She's so sweet.
She's pretty old.
She's so sweet, man. Anyway, using information gleaned from this effort, the police identified 247 high-value targets and developed intelligence packages that were disseminated to the concerned countries for further handling. Hundreds of investigations are now underway.
Oh, lovely.
And zero investigations are underway about the FBI being the largest child porn distributor on the planet for 2016, or...
Well, they're not going to investigate themselves.
How they are literally currently operating child porn rings on Kik and Instagram and not doing any investigations or not doing any arrests thus far in relation to that. So they're basically just out there distributing child porn now for the laws. Europol also announced they also used the announcement to warn the general public about risks stemming from shopping on the internet's hidden recesses. The dark web is not as dark as you think. When you buy or sell illegal goods online, you are not hidden from law enforcement, and you are putting yourself in danger from law enforcement.
Yeah, you're the ones making it dangerous, you idiot.
I love the self-awareness in this because he's open about that. It's not as dark as you think. You're not hidden from law enforcement, and you are putting yourself in danger. I mean, that's pretty explicitly saying we're the problem here, and we're going to continue being the problem here. And if you do something we don't like, we're going to throw you in prison where you can be butt-banged by Big Jim.
We're going to have to find a solution to this problem.
Yeah, like abolishing the police. Meanwhile, ZDNet and InfoSecurity Magazine report that today's largest dark web marketplace, Dream Market, will shutter on April the 30th. The planned shutdown is said to have come out of the blue, and the announcement thereof was made on the same day that the police went public with the results of Saboteur. Well, at least they got creative with the names.
Yeah,
good on them for that.
Somebody in the FBI got really creative with that name. I'll give them that. They deserve credit for that, but none of the rest of this stuff is anything anybody should be doing.
Speculation is rife that the site may too have been seized by law enforcement. Some even believe that Dream Market, launched way back into April 2013, is now being run as a honeypot operation to lure in suspected criminals. This certainly wouldn't be the first time. The Pirate Bay was thought to be a honeypot operation when it returned.
Yeah.
And I was stunned that the Pirate Bay returned from that. But they did, and they have proven not to be a honeypot. But
yeah, well, Dream Market was one of the original ones that replaced the original Silk Road when it went down.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. I mean,
it's been around
existed
forever.
for a while, but I mean, it could have been seized at any point in the past, and we would never have known. Well, this is Call to Freedom. We're going to get further into these arrests and into the dark web, so don't go anywhere.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at shiresociety.com. That's shiresociety.com.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
More of the Call to Freedom is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for Liberty news and activist updates, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,304. Silver at $15.18, and Bitcoin is trading around $4,009. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at InnoScale.net. In the news, in a victory for consumers and yet another massive blow to Monsanto, a federal jury Wednesday found the company liable for causing a California man's cancer and ordered it to pay $80 million in damages. The jury resoundingly held Monsanto accountable for its 40 years of corporate malfeasance and sent a message to Monsanto that it needs to change the way it does business. Those words come from the legal team of 70-year-old Edwin Hardeman, who was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in 2015 after using Roundup on his property for more than 2 decades. The anti-media reports that earlier this month, the San Francisco jury ruled that Roundup was a substantial factor in the development of Hardeman's cancer. In its Wednesday ruling, the jury said Monsanto, which was acquired by German pharmaceutical giant Bayer last year, should be held liable for failing to give sufficient warnings about Roundup's cancer risks. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals. High-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, fighting for your right to consume plant-based medicine and natural remedies. Find out more at mybravebotanicals.com. And guess what, Liberty Beat listeners? Right now, you can save 10% off your purchase by using promo code SNLS at checkout. This is the latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Online at snls.news and libertybeat.news. I'm Mick Murrow reporting. Your news now continues. Documents reveal the Saudi-backed government in Yemen granted citizenship to Charlie Hebdo attacker Peter Sharif. Sharif is just one of the dozens of foreigners, mostly former al-Qaeda and ISIS fighters, who have been granted Yemeni citizenship by the coalition-allied Yemeni Passport Authority, under pressure from high-ranking leaders in Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. That word comes in a report from Minpress News, with that outlet able to obtain copies of dozens of confidential documents relating to foreigners of different nationalities who have been granted Yemeni citizenship, including Europeans like the 36-year-old French citizen Sharif, who is accused of terrorism, as well as other extremists from the ranks of al-Qaeda and ISIS. According to one of the documents, Sharif, who is accused of helping to organize the terrorist shooting at the Paris headquarters of Charlie Hebdo magazine in 2015, received an official Yemeni identity under the name of Mohammed Ba Mazma from the Riyadh-allied Yemeni government in Aden. The process was facilitated by coalition security authorities. According to Agriculture Secretary Sonny Perdue, there may be as many as 1 million calves lost in Nebraska due to the catastrophic flooding that has hit the state. Activist Post reports that it's not a rumor, it's not an exaggeration, and is not based on any sort of speculation. The figure comes directly from the top agriculture official in the entire country, and it means that the economic toll from the recent floods is far greater than most had anticipated. As the months move forward, consumers will start to notice food prices steadily increase. Millions of bushels of wheat, corn, and soybeans have been destroyed by the flooding so far, and thousands of farmers will not be able to plant crops at all this year. And the livestock losses that we have already experienced will be felt for many years to come. The price of beef, which is currently low, is expected to soar. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. It's simple. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting with the latest edition of the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
The Relationship Pro talks to your girlfriend so you don't have to.
We're joined today in our demo center by Eric and Pam, a couple that's been teetering on the edge of divorce for years.
So, Pam, you guys have been using the controller all morning. I understand it's a very good listener.
It's like talking to a fully developed person.
It's got to be a major relief not needing your husband to be your partner or a friend.
Oh, yeah.
So, Eric, it must be a tremendous relief to know that there's someone else on the other end of Pam's eye rolls.
Oh, now I can focus on my game instead of worrying about all that stuff she said there.
Will the Relationship Pro keep you two together?
I think it'll drag this thing out for another couple months.
Amazing. Now, to thank you two for coming on the show, we bought you two the new deluxe Relationship Pro Extreme.
This expanded model has two new modes. Fantasy mode, which allows you to select the age and nationality of the controller's voice.
Oh, I choose a voice like my dad's.
Okay. And a hyper-realistic mode that starts fights and then grovels pathetically when it's afraid you might get rid of it.
This is the Onion News Network.
Welcome back. This is The Call to Freedom. As always, I'm your host, Arya DeMezzo of theanarchistshemale.com, joined in the studio today by
Michael Hampton from BitcoinHistory.com.
And as always, you're invited to give us a call if you would like to weigh in. That number is 603-283-6160. Again, that's 603-283-6160. Speaking of that number, we're called now by Gia, who has called into the show before. Gia, what's on your mind?
Hi, hon. Hi, I hope you both are doing well. Thanks for taking my call. I wasn't going to call in today, but, Alex Jones, ew, big fat bag of vomit. He's disgusting. I can't believe you even give him a platform to harass you. You know, he said Sandy Hook was fake, even though there are pictures. He's destroyed lives.
Well, I mean, he's backpedaled on Sandy Hook being fake, correct?
Did he? I didn't hear that.
Sued. He got sued. Yeah.
And he lost that suit. So he might have lost the Ferrari that he offered me as well. Well, he didn't offer me the Ferrari, and that was the problem.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, Alex Jones sucks, and we're certainly not fans of Alex Jones. It's fun.
I mean,
it's funny when he calls.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
But no,
yeah, even the right. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I'll shut up. It's your show. But, I've been drinking a little too, to be honest. But, even the right-wingers say stuff like the far right and the alt-right are enemies because, again, young trans women and Antifa bash the fash, smash the white man, a.k.a. the Nazi. But anyway, even the right-wing people are or the subhumans, are oh, he's covering for Zionists. Or what? I don't know much about that. I don't believe in anti-Semitism, but I guess they say that he only talks about he doesn't talk about Jewish people ever and Israel, and he only talks about Muslims.
Alex Jones doesn't.
Yeah,
he talks a lot about gay frogs. I know.
Yeah. Yes. Well, like, one thing I didn't really want to call in about that scumbag. I wanted to talk really quickly, and I know you have a show to do, but I was looking at some videos. Are you familiar? Excuse me, drinking a little. Are you familiar with Jazz Jennings?
Who? I am not.
Oh, okay. I don't think Michael would be either. Jazz Jennings is she's like not even 18, I think, trans woman who lives in the South Florida area, and she's got like kind of international media coverage, like on the internet. They did it was like Barbara Walters or something 10 years ago did a thing about her for transgender kids.
Okay. Was she transgender 10 years ago?
Yeah, she still is, but she's like a teen coming of age. But the point is,
that's the way to do it. That's definitely the way to do it. And they were having a discussion earlier in the toxic user room at discord.lrn.fm about trans people, and they said something like her shoulders are too narrow to have been born a man or things like that. It's like, not at all. I mean, if you start pumping people with estrogen and spironolactone before puberty, you're going to get the natural body of a woman. You don't get that when it happens after puberty. But if you're going to treat someone who has gender identity disorder with transgenderism or transsexualism, younger is absolutely better.
Yeah, I
know
agree.
that's going to piss off a lot of people. But yeah.
And that's shoulderist. When they say things like, oh, your shoulders are big, because, like, well, luckily, like, my waist is pretty slim, my butt is kind of bigger, but I've gotten that, oh, you got shoulders, girl, and it's like, die, scumbag. But anyway, like, they were these Nazi
my
scumbags,
shoulders aren't even
like
that
that
big.
piece of, well, I'm not saying you, I'm saying the horrible straight men that harass you. I'm saying that piece of dog feces, Chris Cantwell, many weeks ago was making fun of Jazz. She had her bottom surgery, so she had her, well, I got to be careful how I say that, her stuff removed and inverted, let's say, and she got a horrible infection. Luckily, she's okay, but these disgusting Nazi pieces of trash were like, ha, science P blank SSY, ha, it's infected. Like, this is the kind of freaking people that you've dealt with, Aria, and that you've given a platform to. Like, I love you, but why do you give these scum a platform?
Because it's tremendously amusing to me. It is.
It's amusing that a trans woman is gangrenous in her genital region?
No.
No.
I was not saying that is amusing. That sucks. She is more than likely going to regret that surgery. I will say that as a trans person.
Yeah, well, she's okay now at least, but it was bad for a while. And then Desmond is amazing. I'll get off here soon, but Desmond is amazing's mom got visited by CPS. Do you know about Desmond is amazing?
Yeah, he was the little drag queen that danced in the gay bar, right?
Yeah, it's she, hon, okay? It's she.
No,
but yeah,
no, it is not. Is Desmond not a drag queen?
That's what I understood.
We don't know how Desmond... We don't know how Desmond identifies as Aria, so I'd be careful. And I love you, girl, but be careful misgendering your own kind, honey.
There's an enormous difference between a drag queen and a trans person, is my point.
Yes, but we don't know what Desmond is.
Well, we certainly have no reason to believe that Desmond is trans, but we do have reason to believe that Desmond is a drag queen. So I'm going to stick with he until someone gives me reason to use otherwise. But anyway,
okay, well, fair enough. But his
go ahead. His parents were visited by CPS.
Yeah, nothing happened, luckily, but it's like all these alt-right and conservatives and all these monsters were like, oh my God, he shouldn't be performing in a gay bar. He's a child. But it's like, really, like, if he's able to make this decision with his mommy, then what do they care? They're just hateful monsters. And I want to close on one thing. I'll get off of here. I want to hear you guys talk about these disgusting Nazis who I want to... I'm sorry, I'm not going to hit anything like a man, but I want to smash their heads in when I hear about this, making fun of Jazz. She had a horrible infection, and they made fun of her newfound genitalia. But
her fancy new vagina.
Yeah, could I read it's only like 4 lines long. It's very quick, a little poem that I wrote about the evil, cis, white, straight patriarchy.
Oh, let's hear it.
By all means.
Thank you, honey. Okay, so a cis-man's rage, a hateful plague, our neo-Nazi chump-filled age, a trans flower destroyed, all nukes deployed, as evil cis-white straight men remain devoid. Oh, bye!
Thank you for the call.
Yeah, thanks, Gia. You know, I actually agree that Desmond is amazing. For some reason, that's their name. It irritates me. And that's a drag queen name, for sure.
Right,
That's certainly not a trans name. Probably shouldn't be dancing in gay clubs. And probably shouldn't be doing photo ops with nude drag queens.
Yeah, I didn't hear that bit. I only heard the part about Desmond doing the shows in gay clubs, and that didn't. If her parents are there, or his parents, whatever gender, I don't see the problem if the parents are supervising.
I am never going to refer to a drag queen as she. I'm not going to. And if they want to take that as a sign of disrespect, they can, but I'm simply not going to. Absolutely, it is a sign of disrespect, because screw you, drag queens. But after the bar incident with Desmond is Amazing, he did a photo op with a actually nude drag queen adult.
Oh, I hadn't heard this.
And many of the pictures were uncomfortably suggestive, obviously, because I think they were both nude. I'm not sure, not having looked closely at the pictures. Maybe Desmond was dressed. I don't know.
Now, did the FBI set up this photo shoot?
No, but I could see why CPS would then, visit this person's parents, because that's generally not behavior that society condones children taking part in. But I am of the mind that, if a person suffers from gender identity disorder or gender dysphoria, as it used to be known, then the best approach to that is to cure that with transsexualism. And that's to start them on hormones and things like that as early as possible. The issue where we diverge from the left is that they can't handle it when you say, but if you're old enough to consent to this hormone therapy, then you're old enough to consent to sex.
Okay.
That's my position anyway, is that we should treat people like they're, functioning human beings when they make these kinds of decisions. This is the call to freedom. Don't go anywhere.
Did you know you can legally exit the U.S. federal income tax system? Well, it's true, and thousands of American nationals are doing it. The 16th Amendment and the Internal Revenue Code are legal, but only in a limited jurisdiction. This is the basis behind the voluntary nature of the income tax. Learn the exit strategy provided by Congress. Find out more by visiting weissparis.com and watch our numerous videos. That's WEISSparis.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
Should you be able to earn an honest living free from senseless government interference? The Institute for Justice thinks so. That's why we've spent years defending hard-working men and women from pointless government regulations. Nationwide, IJ has created opportunity by reducing government power, but there is still more work to be done. Visit our website today at ij.org. Let IJ take care of the government so you can take care of your business.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
The easiest thing in the world for a reader to do is to stop reading, according to the late, great Barney Kilgore, who became managing editor of the Wall Street Journal in 1941 and grew the paper's circulation from 33,000 to 1 million by the 60s. And he'd be pleased to know that his paper is one of the few that people now pay to read online. Someone else pre-internet who realized that attention is fragile? Motown Records founder Berry Gordy. In the early 60s, when his label dominated the charts, he'd bring a dozen real people into the Hitsville, USA studios and audition songs. And he'd ask, if you were down to your last dollar, would you spend it on this record or would you buy a sandwich? Today, attention span seems like an oxymoron. For tips on cutting through the clutter, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom. If you would like to give us a call, that number is 603-283-6160. Again, that's 603-283-6160. Or you can use the Discord call-in lines, which you can find at discord.lrn.fm. Now, moving on, because there's always something interesting to go on. This is brought to us by NPR. Apparently, the Department of Housing and Urban Development is suing Facebook for violating the Fair Housing Act. The Housing of Urban Development says Facebook does so by encouraging, enabling, and causing housing discrimination when it allows companies that use their platform to improperly shield who can see certain advertising ads, housing ads. In the charging document, HUD accuses Facebook of unlawfully discriminating against people based on race, religion, familial status. Look, the word is filial, not familial. You would expect a college graduate to know that, but anyway, disability and other characteristics that closely align with the 1968 Fair Housing Act's protected classes. Now, I've run advertisements on Facebook. They were absolutely pointless, resulted in absolutely nothing.
Yeah, they don't work.
I mean, they might if you pay enough money, but you're not going to get the bang for your buck, certainly. I mean, if you spend $1,000 on advertising, sure, you might sell whatever it is you're trying to sell. But unless you're selling it for $50,000, it's just not going to be worth it.
Right.
But having done that, I was not aware of any ability to input what religious class I was attempting to appeal to, or their disability status, or anything like that.
Yeah. Now I've also run Facebook ads. It's been several years since I ran a Facebook ad, but I do remember there was a way to put in basic demographic stuff like age and where in what country they live in and things like that. But the stuff they're talking about, I never saw it.
Yeah, I don't remember. I guess I could have.
Maybe it's there now.
Maybe it's because we didn't look for it. I certainly didn't look for a way to keep my ads from showing to Muslims or Christians or whatever. Right. So maybe it was there and we just didn't pay attention to it because the option of doing it never occurred to us.
Yeah, the only targeting I did is to show this ad to libertarians.
But even if Facebook does that, well, see, you discriminated against non-libertarians. But even if Facebook does that, or does allow for that, it's not Facebook's fault. It's the fault of the realty companies who are setting their advertisements to not display to people based on race, religion, filial status, disability, and other characteristics.
Yeah, how is Facebook even supposed to know that this is a problem until they get this nasty gram from the state?
HUD also alleges that Facebook allowed advertisers certain tools on their platform that could exclude people who were classified as non-American born, non-Christian, or interested in Hispanic culture, among other things.
Okay.
Well, I mean, there's an interested field there. You can filter your ads based on what people are interested in the way that you did with libertarians and the way that I did with atheists and libertarians. So I guess technically I did discriminate against people on the basis of religion.
Yeah, I guess.
But I mean, certainly there are people out there who are interested in Hispanic culture, just like there are people who are interested in Japanese culture, hugely popular here in the United States. Like people with waifu pillows and things like that level of popular. It gets so weird. And that's in the U.S., not even in Japan, which is weird all by itself. It also said that advertisers could exclude people based on zip code, essentially drawing a red line around those neighborhoods on a map. Now, I didn't think...
Zip codes are a little bigger than that.
Yeah, I didn't think they were that precise. It's not like, oh, well, the ghetto of Chicago has a different zip code than the upper-class white suburbia.
Well,
I don't think
technically
that's
it does,
true.
but that zip
Well, yeah,
code
the
for-
9-digit zip code, perhaps.
Yeah, even the 5-digit zip code. There's a lot of zip codes in Chicago, and even like Manchester, New Hampshire, you've got one. There's a zip code for the west side. There's a zip code for downtown. There's a zip code for the north side, which is where all the rich people live. There's the zip code for the west side is the poor area. There's a zip code for the southeast where the mall is and all that. So yeah, I guess in some places you can target like that.
Well, you could also just not give Facebook your zip code.
Yeah.
Or not use Facebook. Join me in not using Facebook. Facebook is discriminating against people based upon who they are and where they live. HUD Secretary Ben Carson said in a statement, I mean, as far as discrimination goes, it's better to discriminate against people based on who they are as people than who you imagine them to be, I guess.
And like you said, they're blaming Facebook for something that Facebook's advertisers are doing.
Yeah, that realty companies are doing. Facebook I said that. Using a computer to limit a person's housing choices can be just as discriminatory as slamming a door in someone's face. Woo. So much hyperbole. He wants people to be angry at Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's not wrong. There's clearly a discrimination aspect to this. I'm not anti-discrimination, though. I think if a realty company doesn't want to do business with someone, they should do so on the basis of individualism and should have a reason why that individual is not up to their standards. But if they're jerks and they want to discriminate based on whatever reasoning, that's their property, that's their business.
Yeah,
they can do that.
Go out of business.
But I realize that's an unpopular position, and most people are anti-discrimination, right? But even so, it's not Facebook that's doing this any more than Facebook is responsible when you get on there and you spread white nationalist propaganda. How people use the tools provided is up to the person who... We don't sue matchmakers when somebody commits arson.
Oh, somebody does.
Sure, maybe, but it gets thrown out as being, stupid. But HUD said that the charges would be heard by a U.S. administrative law judge or in federal district court. The charges come on the heels of a complaint filed in August saying reasonable cause exists that a violation had occurred. Facebook appeared caught off guard by the announcement. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, this would have come out of nowhere for them.
Yeah, I'm surprised by the announcement as well, considering that, I have the ability to use logic. So I don't see how this is Facebook's fault. The whole point of this targeted advertising environment that we've created on the internet is so that people can limit who their ads are, served to. And I sat through half an ad for Mistral pads the other day before I even realized that it was an ad for Mistral pads, right? Because I was only half paying attention, but I was sitting there listening to it, just filtering it out, and then I realized this is an ad for Mistral pads. I would expect a company that makes Mistral pads to exclude trans women from their targeted advertising.
No, they didn't. They didn't.
Well, Spotify may not know I'm trans, which I would be surprised if they did because I've never told them so. Google seems to know based on how they serve me ads for both genders. But I mean, that's how the Facebook works. That's how they make money, is by using targeted advertising to allow you the tools to serve your advertisement to the people most likely to be interested and to make you money. That's how the whole thing works. That's how it's set up.
Yeah.
If you gut that and say, no, you can't serve people targeted ads based on these reasons and this criteria, then you break that entire system, which, hey, I'm okay with, I guess.
Well, if you do that, then we're not going to have free stuff on the internet anymore.
Well, there was free stuff before Facebook. I mean, people ran websites out of their own pockets, covering those expenses themselves.
Yeah.
This is the call to freedom. We're going to get further into this, so don't go anywhere.
Free Talk Live.
When a deer approaches a marijuana plant in the woods and nibbles off one of the buds, is that sad? Is that deer living a sad state of existence?
I have no idea. I've never heard of an animal eating something that would
Christy,
make them,
that's because you have no idea what you're talking about. You don't know one thing about cannabis. You don't know anything about it.
I understand that you want to partake of that drug.
Oh,
and
I do. Trust me.
Listen, I understand that you should have the right to do that.
Well, thank you.
Where it's legal. Where it's legal.
Since the beginning of time, human beings and other animals have been altering their state of consciousness. Believe it or not, it's not just a human being thing.
Robins eat elderberries in the fall and get drunk on them.
Yes, so this is a common thing amongst the various different creatures of this earth.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern. Live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Did you know you can listen to LRN.FM via our free-to-air satellite channels? We have channels over nearly all of North America and much of Africa. All you need is an affordable receiver and a dish as small as 30 inches. There are no monthly fees. Learn more at sat.lrn.fm. Plus, if you are a broadcaster or want to be one, this is a good delivery method for our content. See our coverage maps and get details at sat.lrn.fm. That's sat.lrn.fm. sat.lrn.fm.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
To consistently and
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom. Carrying on with this story about the housing of urban development, whatever the freak they're called, deciding, apparently they just sort of threw darts at a wall to find out reasons why they should, target Facebook with charges. They're somehow discriminating against people because they allow realty companies to discriminate against people.
Yeah, apparently the problem is Facebook didn't see this coming and prevent them from doing this.
And it's more of this mentality that if a person does a thing, then the person who made that thing possible is to blame, rather than the person who does the thing. We see the same thing with gun manufacturers being sued for these mass shootings and things like that. There are a number of lawsuits still ongoing right now.
Oh, yeah.
People trying to sue these gun manufacturers for things that people did with guns.
Facebook's everyone's favorite punching bag these days.
Well, because they suck.
Well, yeah, they do.
And it's nothing but a meme factory now, which is interesting and generally pretty funny, but I can do without it. While we were eager to find a solution, Facebook added, HUD insisted on access to sensitive information like user data without adequate safeguards. We're disappointed by today's developments, but we'll continue working with civil rights experts on these issues. Housing Department officials say they still see evidence of discrimination on Facebook's platforms and as a result felt compelled to move forward with the charges. There's a period of about 3 weeks that either Facebook or HUD can move to have heard the case heard. Oh my God. Will they hire an editor? An injunction or civil penalties, which could include a payment to those who may have been harmed by Facebook's ad targeting practices. How could anybody have been harmed by this?
Yeah, I don't get it. How does anyone get harmed by not seeing an ad?
Look, if a realty company doesn't want to sell you a house because you're black or because you're Christian or because you're Muslim or Jewish or atheist or whatever, or because you have too many kids or whatever reason they have, go to a different realty company. That's the way this competition thing works. And I realize that in the modern statist environment, it's not always possible to just go to a different company.
Yeah, and that's a problem caused by the state. That's not a problem that the state will solve.
Yeah, by doing things like the European Union did just recently and passing these copyright laws that keep large companies in place and limit your choices. That's why we have things like the dark web to allow us to bypass that sort of regulation and censorship. And look, to absolutely no one's surprise, they are targeting that.
Yeah, no surprise there. They'll keep going after it, too.
Last week, Facebook said it would be settling lawsuits for just under $5 million with several civil rights and housing advocates, including the National Fair Housing Alliance. Now, I want to know not just how anybody was victimized by this, but how in the world they could demonstrate that they were actually victimized by this. Even if we assume that one could be victimized by this type of discrimination, how in the world would one demonstrate that this happened to them?
I don't know. I'm not even sure it's possible.
And to come back to the overarching question, what conceivable harm could have been done?
Somebody didn't see a real estate ad.
In the announcement, Facebook said they can do better and promised to make changes to its platform, including not allowing housing advertisers to target by age, gender, or zip code. Now, I can understand the need for housing advertisers to discriminate on the basis of zip code. I totally understand that. That's how they identify who is near the house and who isn't. That's how they would keep you from being served a listing in California when you live in Maine. It also said that advertisers that offer housing, employment, and credit items will have a much smaller set of targeting criteria to choose from.
Okay.
They've been facing housing discrimination allegations for years. But as part of its investigation into Facebook's ad targeting practices, ProPublica discovered in 2016 that the company allowed advertisers access filters it referred to as ethnic affinities. After that, Facebook promised reforms.
Okay.
Yeah, ethnic affinities. I assume that's the whole interested in Hispanic culture thing going on.
Yeah, it's something like that.
I don't understand why a housing company or a realty company would want to discriminate against somebody who is interested in Hispanic culture. That to me seems really bizarre. Are you worried they're going to make too many burritos?
Yeah,
or put a taco stand out in their front yard?
What they may be doing is limiting their targeting to not show this ad to people who are African American.
Yeah, but I mean, the example they specifically gave was people who are interested in Hispanic culture.
Yeah, well, they don't want to use other examples because they might be politically charged.
I mean, that's generally the goal when people write articles like this, is to, get people riled up and anti-Facebook. That's why they started it in the way they did. Talking about non-American borns, non-Christians, and interested in Hispanic culture, trying to hit all of those rage buttons because NPR wants to make sure you know what you're supposed to be outraged about this week.
Oh, yeah.
And this week, you're supposed to be outraged at Facebook. So be sure to go to Facebook to bitch on Facebook about how unhappy you are with Facebook.
And you said this was from npc.org?
Pretty much. That would be more accurate than what they are currently up to. To circle back, though, to something we discussed earlier, that's not what I was looking for. Juan Guaido has indeed been banned from running for office in Venezuela.
Wait. I thought he was the interim president. How does he get banned from running for office in Venezuela?
Well, he declared himself the interim president, certainly.
Okay.
The government there doesn't seem to recognize it.
The same way that Maduro declared himself elected.
Yeah. Well, presumably, but Maduro has the guns, and he's the state. So.
Yeah, he has the guns and he has the food, and he's making sure his military gets the food.
Yeah. The country's embattled government did this, banning the young opposition leader for 15 years, according to a statement made by the state comptroller. Amoroso, an appointee of President Maduro, made the announcement Thursday on state broadcaster VTV. He claimed there were inconsistencies in Guaido's personal financial disclosures and accused him of accepting gifts from foreign governments.
Oh, yeah, that might be true, but it might just be something they made up.
I'm willing to bet that it's absolutely true. I mean, the United States and its allies are investing a ton of money into Guaido and making him president of Venezuela, while the Russians and the Chinese, evidently, are investing tons of money into Maduro and into Venezuela and its current system in order to, support it. So, I mean, it's really just a new aspect of the same old Cold War of capitalism, or what they call capitalism, which is
not quite.
No, it's a different brand of socialism versus official socialism. So I guess it's corporations run by the state versus the state running. Wait. What is the difference?
Okay, so
between the United States economy and Venezuela's.
So in a fascist economy, as I understand it, the state controls the corporations. In a socialist economy, the state controls everything directly.
Okay. So it's a way of having socialism without having to do it directly.
Right.
That's the way. Okay, that's how I would have characterized it. I think that's what I was initially beginning to say before I stopped to rattle off about something else. But he was named the leader of the country's National Assembly in January after being elected as a representative for the state of Vargas in 2016. Now, the National Assembly, they got together and wanted to rewrite the Constitution of Venezuela or something, correct?
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
I remember that somebody, for some reason, wanted to rewrite the Venezuelan Constitution. Not that, evidently it did any good the first time, but hey, we humans are kind of insane, so let's just keep trying it and tweaking it, and maybe if we kill just a few more people, we'll suddenly have that magical freedom and equality.
Well, the thing about constitutions is it's just another piece of paper.
Yeah, and what ultimately matters are the guns. And Maduro is the one with the guns. This is the Call to Freedom. Don't go anywhere. We're going to dig further into Maduro and the usurper that he is.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Boost Kid Essentials Nutritionally Complete Drink, providing your picky eater with essential nutrition and great taste in one drink. Visit us at kidessentials.com. To make sure your kids eat healthy, follow the 5-a-day plan. Serve 3 servings of vegetables and 2 servings of fruit daily. Remember, a serving could just mean a piece of fruit or a half cup of veggies. If your kids are picky eaters, ask a nutritionist about other sources. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Now that you've found the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM, you may want to help expose others to our great programs. To assist you in doing so, you'll find resources at promote.lrn.fm, including details on how to get a free bumper sticker, quarter-page flyers you can print out and distribute, banners for your website, as well as files that will allow you to make your own custom banners and graphics. Visit promote.lrn.fm and help bring new listeners to the Liberty Radio Network. That's promote.lrn.fm.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveatpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveatpurse.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. And I'd like to end the show. I prefer to end the show on stupid things that are relatively funny. And there's not really much that's funny going on in Venezuela right now. So instead, we've got an opinion from someone here on CNN, Michael D'Antonio, who is arguing that something is seriously wrong with President Trump.
What isn't wrong with President Trump?
He says, let's pause for a moment and consider that President Donald Trump's chief of staff, Mick Mulvaney, had to say on national TV that his boss is not a white supremacist, and one of Trump's senior advisors, Kellyanne Conway, had to push back against her own husband's questioning of Trump's mental state. Over the weekend, as Trump ranted on Twitter, as he always does, George Conway, who is a prominent conservative lawyer, posted the psychiatric definition of narcissistic personality disorder and asked all Americans to think about Trump's mental condition and psychological state. Naturally, the press wanted to hear Kellyanne Conway's view. No, I don't share those concerns, she said as she went back to work at the White House on Monday. She added that she had been busy with her children and may not have been aware of the president's recent tweets.
Yeah, not all of us have time to spend reading everything Trump tweets.
No, but if you do get the time, it's generally hilarious. The twin spectacles, headlined by Mulvaney and Conway, come after several off-key days for a president whose behavior is so troll-like that Americans have come to expect him to act more like an out-of-control Reddit commenter than a chief executive of the United States.
You know, he's got a point there.
And I'm all for it. You know, I'm all for anything that, you know, tarnishes the illustrious veneer of the state. That allows people to convince themselves that politicians are a cut above the rest.
You want to take the office of the president down a few notches, the dignity of the office of the president? Please do.
Yeah, that's why I loved seeing McDonald's served at the White House. I was like, yes, this is your state right here,
Yep.
Serving McDonald's. Part of the reason that Mulvaney and Conway had to defend the president is because rather than focusing on Friday's tragedy, when a white supremacist, alleged white supremacist, because he was a lot of other things as well, and, you know, we're taking his word for it that he is a white supremacist, even though we're not taking his word for it in regard to about, 70% of the other things he called himself, killed 50 people in 2 New Zealand mosques. Trump spent the weekend tweeting his grievances about John McCain, Fox News suspension of Jeanine Pirro, and GM CEO Mary Barra. I mean, what do you want from him? Did you spend your weekend tweeting about New Zealand?
No.
Neither did I. I don't think anybody did except people in New Zealand. Other people had other things that they tweeted about.
And journalists.
The fact that Trump is tweeting about things that he's interested in is not shocking to me.
Yeah, but doesn't he have better things to do, like, I don't know, run a country?
Well, to be fair, it doesn't take very long to send a tweet, and I would much rather him be doing that than running a country.
You're making a good point here. He's a lot less dangerous when he's tweeting.
When asked directly about the deadly New Zealand attack on Friday, Trump denied that surging white nationalism was a serious problem. Though Trump did offer condolences and called the attack a horrible, horrible thing, he failed to note the attacker specifically targeted Muslims. Press Secretary Sarah Sanders also omitted the religious identity of the victims. And apparently, I'm just going to have to make peace with the way that journalists are doing parentheses now, because they did it exactly the same way, and it still looks stupid and bad. The contrast with the president's response to an attack last year on Coptic Christians in Egypt is glaring. Back then, he declared that the bloodletting of Christians has to end. And so Trump, who describes himself as Christian, took greater issue with the slaughter of Christians than he did the slaughter of people who were not Christians. I honestly can't be surprised collectivists are going to collectivize.
Yeah, that's what they do. You know, it's us versus them.
Welcome to Tribalism 101. That's the state. It's what produces the state.
You know, well, tribalism is kind of a little bit rooted in the way humans are. I mean, that's just how people behave.
Well, certainly, and escaping that requires overcoming those, barbaric animalistic tendencies.
And engaging your brain a little more.
Yeah. In failing to specifically condemn anti-Muslim terrorism in New Zealand, Trump demonstrated once again that he's not up to the job. White nationalist sentiment, I forgot it again, and the fevered online forums that inform it, is a problem around the world and in the United States. In fact, according to the Anti-Defamation League Center on Extremism, the majority of killings caused by extremists between 2008 to 2017 have been committed by those with white nationalist and far-right ideologies. To absolutely no surprise whatsoever. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why Chris Cantwell is absolutely a Fed.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, because that's what they're out there doing now. That's the big boogeyman. Just like the Obama administration was planting Muslims from the FBI to go into mosque and inspire people to terrorism, Trump and the new FBI under Trump are doing the same thing, but doing it with white nationalism.
Okay, so Cantwell's a Fed. He's out there to get other white nationalists to white nationalize and to get themselves arrested.
Yes.
Okay.
That is my contention. And perhaps part of why Trump, and he sort of admitted to being an informant, by the way.
He did. Yeah, he did say that right after Charlottesville, right?
He did. And then denied it, and then admitted again that he did, in fact, inform the FBI.
Didn't he say it on YouTube?
Yeah, he said on Shimo versus Nazi. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, he said it again.
Yeah.
Then yeah, we've got video proof of all
Ian clipped it. It's very much a thing that he said.
Okay. Well,
that doesn't necessarily mean that he's regularly an informant, but I absolutely believe that he is. And perhaps part of why Trump cannot easily condemn white nationalism is because he has been blowing white nationalist dog whistles for several years. During the 2016 campaign, he whipped up anti-immigrant sentiments by insisting they are responsible for illegal drugs, rape, and violent crime. After being elected, Trump characterized immigrants as invaders, a common turn of phrase among white nationalists.
Yep.
Yeah, but, they also, shortly after this, mentioned David Duke, a former Klansman at the rally, I guess in Charlottesville, explained that white nationalists like him voted for Trump because he said he's going to take our country back. And I have seen people asking, why has Donald Trump never disavowed David Duke? And literally in the video where he learns that David Duke has endorsed him, you can watch him say, I disavow. That is the exact words come out of his mouth. And for months afterwards, people kept asking, why won't you disavow David Duke?
I already did.
Yeah, and he did as soon as he found out about the endorsement. And that sort of tactic was typical during the 2016 election, where people just kept saying, why won't you condemn white nationalism? I wouldn't be surprised to Google and find that Trump has, in fact, condemned white nationalism, but they're peddling this narrative. They're convincing people that Trump is a white nationalist by telling them that Trump won't simply disavow white nationalism, when the fact is, more than likely, he probably already has. He ordered a ban on visits to America by people from 7 Muslim-majority countries, which, if that makes him a white nationalist, then Barack Obama was also a white nationalist.
Yeah, true.
His subsequent pursuit of a massive border wall on the southern border, his attacks on protesting black athletes, and comments on crap-hole countries in Africa all reek of racial animosity.
The thing about that Muslim travel ban is that, yeah, it was 7 Muslim-majority countries, but there's 30 other Muslim-majority countries that weren't travel banned.
No, it's just the ones that were bombing and making terrorists. And we were like, hey, we're busy bombing these people. We don't want you to be able to come here to get away from the bombs we're dropping on you, so we're not going to let you in.
Right. That's what it's about.
With praise from Duke and the torchbearers in Virginia, tiki torchbearers, I think it's important to point out, the president has a serious problem that calls for him to do something more than deny that white nationalism is a growing problem. A true leader would not only disavow the extremists, he would embrace all whom they target and rally the world against them. The highest office in the land, the most powerful position in the world, requires nothing less. And again, I'm just kind of happy that, CNN, this ultra-statist organization, has at least one writer who's beginning to see that, hey, this whole illusion of the state that we've woven around it, it's a myth. It's not actually the highest office in the land. It might, in fact, be the lowest.
Yeah, the first will be last.
In the context of Trump's own record, the pushback from Mulvaney and Conway is therefore not persuasive. Well, I'm also not persuaded by your article suggesting that something is wrong with Trump that hasn't always been wrong with him. He's an internet troll. That's what he does. I don't know why he chose the weekend to bitch about John McCain, but I don't know why Trump does any of the things he does. This has been The Call to Freedom, but don't go anywhere because Free Talk Live is coming up next.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime